Y'all dealing with the king. If you want to come and get it, let the outlaw get you out your seats. You want sports talk politics? He don't give a shit. Rocha says speak, follow it. About to issue y'all a masterclass. You want to pass? Gunslinging the new podcast, eat candy ass. Grab a toss bench, get information. It's your boy John Rocha. Welcome to the Outlaw Nation.
Something about a mic, actually, I think makes people feel powerful.
Well, we just fall into it because we can just we feel like we're important if we're speaking into a mic.
If we're going to go back to Oprah, we feel like we're being heard.
Yes. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to the latest episode of Outlaw Nation. That's me having a conversation with one of the most talented, incredible interviewers and one of the most beautiful women I've ever met in my entire life. We will talk to her in just a second. Thanks, everyone, who's been downloading and doing all the things you've been doing for the show, supporting it, telling people to listen to it. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much for all the wonderful messages you've left on social media for all the guests that I've had on the show over the last few weeks. Gray Drake especially wants to send a special shout-out to all of you. Her heart has been warmed by the amazing responses you all have done. So thank you so much. When I have a guest on the show, it means so much that you're taking the time to do that. It helps the show grow. It helps people come on the show. And speaking of coming on the show, let's introduce the young lady I was just speaking to now. Her name...
Are you looking it up?
No, her name is Nikki Novak. But here's what I want to tell you about Nikki Novak. She's had a hell of a career. She's been an actress. She's been a model. She's worked for she's appeared in Vogue, Elle, Cosmopolitan. She's worked with Dolce & Gabbana and Tommy Hilfiger. She used to host Young Hollywood. She's been seen in Any Given Sunday, The Holiday, and in TV shows like Castle, 2.5 Men, Dexter, Rules of Engagement, and Lie to Me. You've seen her recently on Extra or HLN or CNN or MSNBC, but really, you might have missed her as John Stamos' ex-girlfriend in a Dan and Oko's commercial. And very much, she's fantastic on the red carpet and in interviews, doing the junkets for Fandango. And that's how we met in Hawaii, doing the rock junket, for Jumanji. We just got along really well. And I've been trying to get her on the show, and it finally worked out this week. So I am very happy to welcome Nikki Novak to Outlaw Nation.
I can never live up to that introduction.
What do you mean? Of course you can. You already are.
And by the way, can I just say that Gray Drake is one of my favorite people.
Gray Drake was our connective tissue in Hawaii. Because hanging out with her, I got to meet you through her, and I got to know Roth Cornett a little bit more through her as well. She's amazing.
And I got to watch you do your interview.
You did.
With The Rock and Jack.
Yeah.
And, who's the other guy? Kevin Hart. Right.
She interviews celebrities, folks. She interviews celebrities.
I was just kidding. I knew who it was. I just like making fun of him because he's amazing. But yeah, I got to sit because I think I was right after you.
Yeah, you were right after me.
Yeah.
You were sitting there in your white dress and with your lemur book or llama book, whatever the book was.
Lemur.
Lemur.
I call lemurs, and llamas are all lemurs too.
That's right. Because I looked at the book and I was like, oh, I'm from Bolivian parents. That's a llama. And you go, no, it's a lemur. And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever you say.
Yeah, it's basically a notebook. It's my chicken scratch where I keep all my questions, and we all do it. We all just sort of sit there immersed. But I remember I saw you, and you had this heavyweight belt.
I did.
And you were super excited because I think it was your first time interviewing The Rock.
It was my second time interviewing The Rock, but I was super nervous because the first time was just like having to do a promo.
Right.
This is the first time I was interviewing 3 people at once.
Yeah.
So I was super nervous doing that, and there was a lot of pressure from Collider to a degree to do something unique. And so it was like figuring this all out took some time, and you were very kind to surprise me in taking those pictures. I would have had no record of it other than video if you hadn't taken the pictures.
Well, here's the thing, because I think before you walked in, you said to me, I'm super nervous, I'm super psyched. I thought it was the first time you were interviewing him, but now I remember it was you had done something with him before. Yeah. But you had to perform, like you had a whole bit ready. And that's hard to do, to perform in front of those 3, but you did amazing. But I remember sitting there watching it and going, he's going to want a picture of this. Like my bird's eye view of the whole thing. I'm like, and I don't even think I knew your name at that point. No. And then I found somebody later and I said, you know that guy? say, like, can you let him know that I have pictures of him in The Rock? And then you tweeted me.
Yeah, because I think it was Dan Casey who told me. He's like, Nikki's looking for you. She's got pictures of you, Dan Casey from The Nerdist. And I was like,
she got
yes.
pictures of you. That sounds very ominous. She
like,
has
oh no, not again.
of you.
But I went on Twitter and I DM'd you, and then and we followed each other, and then you sent me the pictures, and that was really, really sweet of you, because those pictures are just like a special place for me, because that was such a great memory and great interaction.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
We all want the Instagram photos.
Yes.
We all want, even just for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching it all go down, and why the heck not?
I know. I was surprised.
I had nothing else to do. I was only preparing for my interview. No, but sometimes you do get nervous right before an interview, so it takes the edge off to focus on somebody other than yourself.
You're an old hat at this, though. Like, you've been doing it a long time. That was only my, second or third junket in my entire life. Yeah. I did a Pixar one 3 years ago. Yeah. I did the Baywatch one that was down in Miami.
I did that one, too.
Oh, did you really?
We didn't meet there.
No, we did not.
So, okay. So you interviewed him then, or you did
I did. I interviewed him then.
Okay.
Just him. I didn't get to interview anybody else.
He was exhausted. He's the nicest dude, which
really
everybody
is.
says, and everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. But he had just wrapped shooting Rampage the night before.
What?
At 4 a.m. Got on a plane. Mind you, it was a private plane. Don't cry a tear for The Rock. And then went down and junketed all day. And I think I got him at the very end of the day. And this is how he's so sweet.
This is for Baywatch, right?
This was for Baywatch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I could tell he was exhausted. But that's the thing. He still tries. He still gives everybody as much attention as, he elevates people.
That's what's great about him, because I've been following him since he was starting out when his dad, I was a fan of his dad in the wrestling days. That's all Rocky Johnson, that's how old I am. So when his son came into it, I was like, this is insane. And I've been such a big fan of him, and now he's grown. It's amazing to see that he's such a powerful force in the entertainment world.
It's amazing to see, sort of see, because I'm just learning now. Now I've met a bunch of people who are huge wrestling fans, and they taught me the whole, it doesn't matter. I never even knew what that meant before.
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of amazing that he's grown into this mega star.
And what you bring up about him is true, because he has a humility about where he's at. Like, he believes himself, he's confident, but he also has a humility because he remembers sleeping on ratty mattresses and not making enough money and playing in the CFL. You're Canadian. He tried to play in the CFL.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, really?
You're schooling me about the CFL. I never watched the CFL growing up, by the way.
Really? You never watched the Grey Cup?
No, I watched the NFL. That's the thing. When you grow up in Canada, you have an inferiority complex.
What?
Everything in the States is cooler.
Really?
And we never had money growing up. We drove to. We had relatives in Florida. I'm from Toronto. We didn't have the money to fly. We drove. We drove our asses 26 hours across. But as soon as we would cross this bridge, and we'd end up in Detroit, that's the route we would go. I thought the heavens opened up. Coming to the States was just cool. Okay. So you think I'm watching CFL? No. I was watching NFL, and the Cowboys was my team, because you could just pick whoever, because I wasn't from that city.
That's true.
So But I didn't even know he played for the CFL.
Yeah, he tried because he couldn't get into the NFL. He couldn't make it, and he was coming out of Miami, and he went to CFL.
Right. That's right. I did know that.
And he didn't couldn't quite make it the cut in the CFL, so he came back down and started learning how to be a wrestler. But he's an incredibly nice guy, and he will give you. Alison Hammond from ITV, I met her. She's a British reporter down there as well, and she said to me, he will give you anything you want, but he will be late to the junket. He will be in half an hour. He was 2 hours late to the junket.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was. And now when you say this about him rapping, that makes sense. He probably got a sleep in or got a nap in, because, man, rapping at 4 a.m. and then turning around and spending so much time with reporters, asking weird questions or asking any questions and doing crazy things, you got to have the energy for it, or else you're going to come off all crabby or moody or something.
Well, maybe that was his cheat day. Doesn't he have the pancakes once a week? He has those pancakes look amazing.
Yeah, I'm
That's
so
my
jealous.
Goal. I want to have pancakes with The Rock.
Oh my God!
I'm bringing them to the next junket.
That's gotta happen. The massively huge. Get those ones from the griddle or whatever. Get those massive pancakes from the griddle.
Yeah.
So, Nikki, I want to go all the way back, to where you So you're from Toronto.
Yeah.
Where in Toronto are you?
Small town.
Okay.
Toronto is being generous. I'm from a small town outside of Toronto. 8,000 people growing up in my town.
Wow.
So this life that I have now was not even.
You didn't even think about it.
No.
Were you an actress growing? Were you a performer growing up? How did you get into all this stuff?
It was a random thing in my small little hometown.
Right.
There was a modeling school, like, you know, those John Casablanca school of modeling, where they teach you like self-improvement, how to like tweeze your eyebrows. And I was a secretary there. That was my after-school job.
Really? So you weren't even a model. You were a secretary.
No, I was a secretary. And the woman, I hope she won't listen to this, but the woman who was my boss was too cheap to pay me.
Yeah.
And so what she did was once a year they had this contest in Toronto where all these agents from around the world would come.
Yeah.
And she entered me in the contest, and she probably got one freebie. She says, instead of paying you, I'm going to enter you in this modeling contest. And I'm like, really? I would rather have the $3 an hour or whatever she was paying me. Anyway, she entered me in this contest in Toronto, and I ended up like meeting all these modeling agents, and that's how it got started. But I was still in school.
How old were you then?
I was like 16.
And so you had no idea, like, you weren't doing school plays, none of that kind of stuff.
No, I was so shy.
Really?
I mean, I shouldn't say shy. I was to a certain degree, but like getting up in front of people or doing what I do now.
Yeah.
No.
No, that was not in your thought process at all. Did you have an idea at that time what you wanted to be? Like, did you even have an idea?
I knew I wanted to get the heck out of my hometown.
So you had big dreams.
I had huge dreams. I remember staring out of my window and going, there must be more than this. There must be more than driving to Florida every year. There must be airplanes out there somewhere. But I make it all sound terrible. But it's I still go back. All my friends are still there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. My family's there.
Oh,
my brother's 5 minutes from my parents.
Oh,
so the nice thing is it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
I go home and I see everybody. Nothing's changed.
What do they think about what you've done? Are they like proud of you? Are they excited, or do they try to bring you back down to earth? Be like, yeah, ain't all that.
It depends on who you're asking. Like my brother will listen to my interviews if I make him. If I email him the link, he will listen. And I know I've done an okay job when he says, okay, you didn't make me cringe on that one.
Oh my God.
That's my brother.
That's perfect.
My parents, I can do no wrong.
Oh, that's great.
Everything I do, I could screw up live on TV, whatever. That was wonderful. You are so good. You know so much about movies.
Are you the baby or are you the...
Oh, yeah,
of
I
course,
am.
Of course.
And then all my friends, the nice thing is, when you have friends that you've known since you were 5, they're interested, but they've been through it all with me. They're not... They're all like, it's cool what you do. They come to LA once or twice a year and they party their faces off, but they're happy to go back to the small town.
Right.
That's what they want.
Yep. LA is to visit, not to live.
Right.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you get selected.
I was selected.
This is incredible. Like selected at 16.
I was
and
selected.
then what? Is it a whirlwind thing?
So
now?
it was a whirlwind. It was a world tour. I ended up going to the first place I went was New York.
Right.
And actually, God, I could tell you so many crazy stories. One of the first celebrities I ever met was Donald Trump.
Oh boy!
Because my agent at the time was very friendly with him because, of course, he knew he wanted to know all the models.
Of course, he did.
And I remember. I mean, you have to remember, I've been in New York all of a week.
Yeah.
I'm coming from my small town.
In Toronto.
And my agent says to me, girls, to all the girls that were staying in this model apartment, and she was the chaperone across the hall, girls, we're all going to go to like a hockey game with Donald Trump tonight. And and so I'm like the girl that was always on time for everything, like always like, I can't believe people want to take my picture. I can't screw this up. I'm going to be on time for everything. I'm not one of those models that doesn't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. That was like the famous supermodel quote.
Yep.
So we're all to meet at Donald Trump's apartment in Trump Tower. I'm there on time. Everybody else is late.
Of course.
And he opens the door. And he's sitting there watching himself on Entertainment Tonight. He's like, come on in. I'm about to be on TV. And I'm sitting across from him like, what is happening to my life right now? I'm sitting in Donald Trump's apartment. And I just remember he would say, he was always very nice to me.
Okay.
But he would say things like, so tell me about yourself. You're a very interesting girl. Wait, hold on. Hold that thought. I'm coming back on TV.
Oh,
like, really,
wow.
he loves himself.
Yes.
He loves the Donald.
Clearly, man.
But, anyway, that was my first foray. And I met him several times after.
Okay.
And
does he remember you every time, or do you have to remind him who you are?
No, I mean, another long story short, my ex-boyfriend, a guy I ended up dating, knew him.
Oh.
And we would sort of like ride on his coattails, and if he had a private plane to wherever, we'd go. So we would hang out with him and got to sort of have the best of and remember, this is a long time ago.
Yes,
before all the stuff, so don't hate on me for this. But this was So this was like way back when. This is way before he ever announced that he would ever have any political aspirations. We were just hanging out, having a great time. He had helicopters to the Hamptons.
Right.
We would just jump on. So I got to know him through the boyfriends. So, you know, he was never hitting on me or anything. It was never anything like that.
He respected that barrier there.
Yeah,
at least.
yeah. But I do remember, like, I remember one time, like, the craziest thing about him is he's a real germaphobe.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He doesn't shake hands.
Oh, my God.
Which is crazy because when he started this whole thing, I'm like, how is he going to shake all these hands when he doesn't shake hands? We were out for dinner one night and we were at a burger place. And people would come up and be like, dude, I'm such a fan. I got to meet you. It was always guys that, you know, want to be rich.
Yeah.
And they walk up to him and they were like, this one guy said, I got to shake your hand. Sir, I got to shake your hand. I already knew he was a germaphobe.
Yeah.
And he shook his hand because he didn't want to say no. Because one-on-one, Donald is a little quiet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When he's not in a big group.
Yeah.
He was a little, at least when I knew him then, he would be a little
He's more self-conscious.
A little self-conscious.
Interesting.
So he shook the guy's hand.
Yeah.
And then the burger was in front of him and he said, I'm not going to touch it. I can't touch it now. I'm a germaphobe. And we said, go to the bathroom and wash your hands.
Right.
I won't use a public bathroom. So he sat there and the burger remained untouched.
Wow.
Long story short, he has always loved a burger, but he doesn't love it as much as he loves cleanliness. But but then we would go out to like premieres and that. Mm-hmm. And as soon as the car door would open, he'd say, are you ready for the Donald show? And he would turn it on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he understands what he's doing. So
I don't have a deeper understanding. This was years ago and I knew him on a very surface level.
Right.
But that's what I saw then.
Yeah.
But I remember there was one time we flew on his jet to the Bahamas for the weekend. And when we got back, I wrote him a thank you note. Yeah. And he actually called my boyfriend and said, she's one of the only people that's ever written me a thank you note. I do favors for people all the time and no one ever says thank you.
You know what? That's that small town girl from Toronto.
Well, doesn't say anything as much about me, but the fact that he took the time to make the call.
Yeah. So it says something about you that you did that. A lot of people don't do that. You're right. Like, it's going out of style, the idea of thank you notes. I only know a few people who still send them.
Well, kindness, too. Being nice to people.
That's why I like Nikki, because she is kind. That's when I met her. See, I only keep kind people in my life. I'm just letting you know now. That's why you're on the show.
Likewise.
Thank you. Very kind. This is... So tell me, so this may be... That's why I don't think... That's what's so weird about the guy, and I don't want to get into a too deep discussion about him. I think he's just... Like, he's almost a passenger in his own life. Like, it's really interesting to watch all the stuff that he's doing. I don't know if he necessarily... Like, he's just saying all this stuff. Like, he's just going where he's going. And how much of it is true is up to you to decide. And how much of it he's saying to stay in power is up to you to decide. But obviously, it's an interesting situation from where he came from to being such an entertainment person and then becoming president. It's like, you can't turn that gear off necessarily. So some of the stories you hear about him watching himself on CNN, or people... Like, you have to... Listen to your story... It makes sense. That's a pattern of his entire life. It isn't just since he became president.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, I knew him so long ago. I don't know him that well to know what's happening now, what the thought process, if he's in on the joke, if he's, you know, I don't know. Yeah. But he does seem much more extreme than when I knew him.
And maybe he has to be in this arena because he had, like you said, the Donald show. This is the Donald show. Him being president is the Donald show. It's not really who is, you know, one-on-one or face-to-face or like you said, in a one-on-one meeting, he's a lot more timid, perhaps. And so
he was at the time.
He has to be a bigger thing.
But then there was that whole side of him that when he got out in a group, he put it on.
Right.
But he also said some things at the time that I remember now that were,
Oh, we won't get into it.
That'll be the next one. That'll be the next one.
Who's his boyfriend? Can you say who the boyfriend was?
Heck no. It's nobody that anybody would know.
Oh,
it's not a celebrity
so not a famous
or anything.
Person. Okay.
No, he's just somebody that was in the sort of New York, you know, circle. And yeah.
This is where Nikki travels in the high circles now. So she's a model now.
It truly was not that bad. It sounds terrible.
No. So you're in New York. You're doing like, what's this like? Your parents were okay with this? They weren't afraid.
Oh, they were freaked out. They're still freaked out.
Oh, really? They are.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And I don't even say out like a Canadian anymore, do I?
Oot.
I can't even do it if I try.
You did say Toronto. You did have a little bit of there.
No, my mom. I talk to my mom like 3 times a day. It's weird, but
What?
I think when you leave home from such a young age, that's how we've kept in touch. Is I keep her. She knows everything that I'm doing all the time. Wow. And so, I've tormented my mom her whole life. It's always like, when are you coming back? She still thinks that I'm,
You're just living out this. This is a phase. This whole thing's a phase. You're just going to come back.
She's going to come back to her room.
She got Hollywood out of her system, and now she's going to marry a nice boy here in Toronto.
Yeah.
So, all right. So then New York, and then your Molly going around. How did you? Was the next natural step acting and all that?
Yeah. Okay. I think what happened. So the weird thing was, so at the time, I would get sent out on some hosting stuff in New York randomly.
Okay.
And I would be a like if they needed a model that, could talk in a commercial or that, I tended to book that stuff.
Right.
I was never, like, when I say I was a model, I was the girl that did catalogs. Like, we're the workhorses. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wasn't the girl that
You're the grinder.
I was the grinder. I was not the girl that was being flown first class and staying in the best hotels. I was doing my Sears catalogs. Right. And you make great money, but you don't make the money that you hear about.
Yeah.
But I worked, like, I took advantage of the opportunity.
Sure.
And I started taking acting classes in New York.
Okay.
And
was this your decision, or was it suggested to you as like a next step for you as a model?
No, I really wanted to do it.
Okay.
Like, I really thought I wanted to be an actress.
So the shy girl.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, after modeling,
right? But think of all the people who are actors that are shy when you interview them.
Absolutely, it's very true.
That this was going to be my vehicle and my outlet,
right?
But anyway, I would go into class, and there was just. Have you ever acted? Have you ever done acting?
Yeah.
You have
20 years.
Oh, I didn't. So should I know? Should I not be saying this on?
No, I'm joking. Yes, I started initially as an actor and I've only made the switch into hosting and stuff 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I still do voiceovers, but on camera stuff, I never was 100% comfortable with it. I'm a stage actor by nature.
Yeah.
And so, but
that's
this
a different
transition,
thing.
it's a whole nother
And that's
ballgame.
what I learned in New York, because we would do plays.
Oh, great.
We never looked at TV or film scripts. So when I came out to LA, it was a totally different thing than I had been studying. But I was playing at it, like I was going to class in that, but I
wish you guys could see her face right now. She's giving away so much right now.
Well, here's the thing. So then I decide I'm going to come out to LA.
Right.
And do acting.
Of course.
And there were certain roles that I would always book. It was either the party girl.
Yes.
Or the bitch. What? The total bitch.
Really? Okay.
Where it's almost like I could overact.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be a little bit of a caricature.
Yeah. And it would still work. It would seem natural.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But if it had to be like a serious drama or something where my face had to be still.
Yeah.
No. Something would quiver on my face that wasn't supposed to be quivering.
Well, that's why you're a fun, goofy person. You can't restrain that.
No, and the other thing I learned about myself after years of watching myself on camera, not in a Donald Trump way, but just you see yourself doing interviews. But like when you freeze my face at any given time, I make the weirdest faces. Like it's not normal.
This is now going to be a game for me. I'm going to start doing.
I promise you can go into any of my interviews and freeze me at any point, and I won't be making a wildly unattractive face. So
yeah, because I mean, like, what you were playing, you were doing these movies, you were doing like some of these TV shows, like you had a 2-episode arc on 2.5 Men.
I did 2.5 Men. I did 2.5 Men. I remember, and this is the thing about, and you know this, because you were an actor.
Yes.
You go on these auditions. I remember going on this audition for Castle and going, that was the worst audition I've ever had in my life, and booking it.
I hate that about acting.
And then you go in, and the person's all interested, and you had the best read of your life, and you don't get a call back.
Yep.
And you walk out going, booked it.
Yeah.
You don't even get a call back.
You get excited waiting for the call because you know it's coming. You just know it's coming.
Right.
You're dancing around making your dinner, and then the call doesn't fucking
You're
come.
You're planning your $20 million paycheck for your first big film. You know your life's about to change overnight.
I hope my parents will be able to deal with me, and now I'm going to become this egotistical actor. Yeah.
But here's the thing. I would go into auditions, and this is when I knew I was a fraud of an actor. I would go into auditions, and I would be so nervous, number one, which tells you something. If you're not comfortable ever auditioning, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Okay.
Because the actors that I know who are true actors, they would get an audition and they'd be like, yes, no matter what it was. I can't wait to go in and show them what I could do. I'd be like, oh, crap. I got to memorize 12 pages for tomorrow at 9 a.m. Like, right. There were certain roles. Every once in a while, I'd be like, oh, I really want that one. But it was so few and far between. Yeah. And I would go in and I would read with these casting directors. Yeah. And I would honestly really just be more curious. I'd be like, who'd you see today? Why were they good? What did they do? What choices did they make? Yeah. Who was awesome? Like, what did they, like, I was just so curious about the process. And so, which led me, I think was always meant to do was hosting. Yeah. And interviewing, because I love the business. I love actors. I have so much respect for what they do and the commitment.
Because you've been on the other side of it.
I've been on the other side.
And you've seen that, like, you got to really want it. And like what you're talking about is absolutely right, and that's what I discovered. I did an independent feature film about 3 years ago, and when I saw myself on screen, and when I through the whole process, I walked out in the middle of the screening. I took an Uber home, and I texted my two best friends who I've known for 20 years, and I said, "It's over, and I'm never doing it again, and I'm happy to finally have that realization. I don't want it at the level that you need to want it, to be good enough at it, and to be hungry for it, and to want to do it, and walk into audition and sacrifice everything else and give away a shift and, you know, risk being fired. People who really want it, that's what they do. And when you come to the realization about yourself that you're not that person, then you have to accept it. And it was almost like a load off, because for 15 years I beat myself up all the time. Like, why don't you work harder? Why don't you do more? Why are you sitting on your ass? You should be going out to casting workshops. You should be doing all these kind of things. And in the end, it's because I didn't really want it as bad as I thought I did. And that's exactly the thing, right?
And that's what I mean about, oh crap, I got 12 pages
You're right.
memorized.
I would have the same reaction.
But when it comes to hosting, so I would go out, you get thrown out, and when you're a model / actress, you get in LA, you get thrown out on these hosting auditions, and I didn't even care, and I'd book them. Wow. I didn't care.
Right, because it was natural. And that's what you have to have.
But here's the thing. I could sit at night, because every time I interview anybody, I over-research, because I think it's always better to know way more about them than you ever need to know for your 4-minute interview. Because if they throw you a curveball and say something, you can follow it up. You can have a conversation. Right. And I just study my ass off, but it never feels like work. That's the thing about hosting. It never feels like work. Yep. I love what I do, and that's when you know. And as an actress, look, would I love to do a role every once in a while? Like, what's the guy's name that does Sharknado? I'm a huge Sharknado fan.
Oh, Ian Ziering?
Anthony C. Ferrante.
Right.
He's promised me he's put me in the next Sharknado. I'm like, I just want one line. Yeah. I'll be the party girl or the bitch.
You could be the interviewer. Who gets eaten by the shark. Absolutely.
I know, but he usually has Matt Lauer do that.
Oh, right.
Well, I guess not Matt anymore.
Hey, looks like there's a slot open. Matt ain't going anywhere near that. They are not putting him in that.
I'm in.
No, Matt's retired now. He's done.
Yeah.
No, that would be good. That'd be perfect for you.
What is it about when we tell our own life stories? We always think we're so boring.
No, it's not true. That's why I want to have you on the show, because I know there's a lot here. No, it's interesting, because then how did you find your way? So you started doing the smaller hosting stuff. You were getting these kind of things, and then what? Did you get an agent? Did you start building? Like, how did you get into the situation?
I got these just random jobs.
Okay, and you stayed out here, and you were like,
"Oh, I'm going to figure it out." And it was starting to happen as I was still acting. And then the weird thing was, when I did really start hosting, and then I started working for this show, Young Hollywood, on a pretty regular basis. Yeah, I was so busy that I would still get thrown acting auditions, but because I didn't care anymore, I started booking them a little bit more. Wow. Because I would walk in and go, okay, I got to be out of here. Yeah. Like, I got to go back to my show. And when you don't care as much, there's a desperation that casting directors can sniff.
Oh, yeah.
Like a dog.
Because most casting directors are failed actors most of the time. Yeah. So, but not failed in terms of they weren't good enough, just failed because they didn't want to do it anymore, couldn't deal with the grind. So they sensed their own. They sense the desperation in their own,
their own breed.
Exactly. So when they see someone who doesn't care, they're like, "Oh, what's that like? Not to care? That's
She's
interesting.
Let's call her back." So but I have to say, like, I had some great experiences acting. Like, I did this independent movie that was like a war drama, and I had to be on the verge of tears every single day for 2 months. We shot it in Kansas, and I look back at it and I'm like, that was amazing. Like, actually, when you get the job and you're on set, it's great. Right. It's great. Other than the waiting in the trailer for 18 hours for one scene and keeping yourself on the verge. That's when, again, when you know you're a true actor. when you want to do that, I'd be like, oh gosh, can we just shoot this scene? Because I don't think I can produce the tears. They're not going to come or whatever. Oh, I'll tell you a funny story.
Yes,
so
please.
I did one scene in The Bucket List opposite Jack Nicholson.
Oh, great. I need to see. That's on my DVR. I have to watch that.
Well, I was edited out. So.
Oh, no. Well, there we go. Okay, the Jack Nicholson story.
Well, you do see me in the reflection in the glass, and you hear my voice. I do say one line. But the cool thing is, it was one of the first jobs I got in L.A.
Oh, nice.
And to say, so on the call sheet that day, there was only three people. It was number 1, Jack Nicholson, number 2, Morgan Freeman, number 3, Nikki Novak.
Wow.
And I still have the call sheet. It makes me look like I'm really important. But anyway, yeah, I got to, the funny thing was, so I got to do the scene opposite him, and I had, I think, 3 lines or something. And my whole thing was, I can't wait to look at Jack and say my 3 lines.
Right.
So, of course, they shoot his close-ups first.
Oh, shit.
He has written into his contract that he leaves at 8 p.m. to go to the Lakers
That's
game.
Right. Yes, he does. It's a legend. Everyone knows this.
And everybody's like, he's going to hit on you. You're going to be courtside at the Lakers if you want to be. And I'm like, not only did he finish his scene, his side, and he had to cry. That's what made me think of it, is he had to keep himself at that point. Yeah. So I got to sit there and watch him for 30 minutes while they were lighting the scene, talk to himself and give himself like a pep talk to get himself to that point. So I got to watch the way he worked, and it was really cool. But then every once in a while he'd break character and look over at the lighting guys and go, you have 30 minutes and I'm out of here. Because they were having some issues with the lighting. Just to mess with them. Yeah. I'm like, this is quintessential Jack. This is amazing. But anyway, when they got to my close-up, he was out of there. So I had to do my lines opposite this stand-in person. I was so mad. The next day everybody's like, how was it? I'm like, he left. And they're like, did he hit on you? I'm like, no. He didn't. Should I be insulted?
Should I take that badly?
Should I take that badly? Anyway, these are things we can't talk about anymore, can we? Without
what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, you can. It could be misconstrued in the wrong way. It wasn't. I mean.
No, I know.
He doesn't have a reputation for being that person. He just has a reputation for liking being flirty.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, he's going to hit on you.
There's nothing wrong with being flirty. I think there's something wrong if you cross that line where you become disrespectful.
Exactly.
That's what we're trying to. And that's what I think some men are overreacting to these movements, because some men are being like, "Well, I can't say anything." It's not that you can't say anything. It's you've got to be respectful in how you say it. And those who know how to flirt, know how to do it correctly. Those who don't are clumsy about it are the ones who are getting upset about this whole situation.
Well, and the other thing is, I walk into shows now, shows I was doing before the whole Me Too movement, and the producers will be like, am I still allowed to hug you? Am I still allowed to tell you look nice today?
Wow.
I'm like, of course. Compliments, and that's all nice. It's okay. And let's face it, we are in a business where we are being judged on how we look. As much as we can pretend it's not there, it is.
And who doesn't like to be told, hey, you look nice today? Or, hey, I like that I like that suit on you, or I like that blouse on you, or whatever. It's different if they stare and leer at you. That's where the line is, right? But if they're just complimenting, oh my God, I was at the bagel shop the other day, and this woman had this incredible polka dot dress that was like an antique kind of vintage dress, and I blurted it out because I just was so amazed by the design of it. And I'm not a fashion guy or anything, but I just that's a wonderful dress. I just want to. That's an incredible dress. And she was actually she was very moved by the compliment,
right?
Because I guess people don't say that anymore like they used to.
It's the same thing as what I will always say to people about interviewing. It's not what you say or what you ask, it's how you ask it. Or how you say it. Right. So somebody who's genuine and giving you a genuine, I'm sure the way it came out and the way you said it was so sweet. Yeah. It was probably like, oh, that's really nice, thank you.
I have my moments.
Nice dress.
I like those polka dots on you, baby. Now pay for my bagel. Get my bagel.
Can I buy you a bagel, honey?
A round bagel, is that possible? We won't take. So this is. I don't want to get too deep in this. So then you start hosting more things. Young Hollywood. How do you get Young Hollywood? From audition?
Weirdly, so a friend of mine knew the guy who's the owner of Young Hollywood. It was like, I need somebody for a red carpet doing the Young Hollywood Awards. This was when I was first moved to LA and was acting still. So I did this one red carpet for him, and it was fun. I interviewed a bunch of people and didn't think anything of it. And then right around the time that I was thinking of transitioning out of acting, I'm kind of like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
He called me up out of the blue and needed a new host. And it just sort of was serendipitous. It just kind of happened. But that was that was my stomping ground. That was my training ground.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of videos of you from the Young Hollywood days. You've interviewed so many, like Zach Galifianakis, Dane Cook. You have so many things, so many people you've interviewed. John Hamm. You got Flavor Flav put a pie in your face. Like, there's so much.
Oh, yeah, he did, too. That was on the Big Morning Buzz, Nick Lachey's show that was on VH1.
That's right.
That was also fun, taking a pie in the face.
From Flavor Flav.
From Flavor Flav.
And then, but like, so you grew in, how did you get into, what was the next stop after Young Hollywood? Was it Fandango?
It was Fandango, right after that, yeah.
And how long have you been there now?
I've been there a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Year and a half, yeah.
Okay. So you know Tiffany and Tiffany Smith?
That was one of my first... first jobs was at Comic-Con with them, with Christian and Tiffany.
Yeah.
And co-hosting and,
Yeah. He told me when I told him you were coming on the show, he was like, what? How the fuck did you get Nikki Novak? And I said, well, we met down in... He was like, you should thank me for that. I sent you on that junket. I go, I know.
I love Christian.
He takes credit for everything.
He's a cool dude. Every time I see him, I saw him at the Last Jedi screening.
Yes.
And he's just... there's just certain people that I love to get their opinion, especially films like that.
Yeah.
And we sat down in the cafeteria after, and we're just, picking his brain about the Easter eggs and all the stuff that was in the film that, I'm certainly not the Star Wars junkie that he is.
Right.
So it was just kind of interesting talking to him about it. But every time I see him, I always love seeing him at.
He's the one that walked me into this business.
Did he really?
Yeah, because we've been friends since college, Florida State.
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we've been friends since college, Florida State. I was one of the few, because he was in the theater program, but he's a kind of a frat guy, right? He wasn't no artsy fartsy kind of guy. He wasn't into that kind of stuff. And a lot of the actors there turned him off. Like, he didn't like the way that they were because they're so hoity-toity about their craft, quote unquote. But with me, because I was coming out of the military, I was 27 when I went back to college. I'd served in the military for 8 years and then went back to college. I was older and I understood the game of college already because I tried it the first time and didn't really work out and got in the military. So
this is a movie.
Well, maybe. We got to...
Let's try college again the second time.
And I killed it the second time. But we became friends because he realized from me that I didn't have any of those airs, and so we became friends just naturally. And so throughout the whole time here in Hollywood, we would run into each other every once in a while, have great conversations, talk about college, talk about what he's doing. And he would I remember when he was starting out at Silver, we would have these like occasional conversations. Then he lived two streets over from me, and we'd run into each other randomly when he's walking his dog or something. We'd have these nice conversations. So it was only like 2.5, 3 years ago that I was going through a breakup, and I was like kind of done with acting on camera and all this kind of stuff. And he said to me, he's like, have you ever thought about doing like podcasting or doing these kinds of things? Because I have a show I host called Far, Far Away over on Geek Nation with Tiffany Smith. Do you want to just come on as like a guest? And I'm like, well, sure. I'll come on. Why not? I don't know that much about Star Wars, but I'll come on. He's like, yeah, sure, come on. And then I start coming on like a little more regularly as a guest. And then he goes, I'm going to leave the show. Will you take over as a co-host with Tiffany? And then Tiffany was my boot camp because I had to do the rundown and those kinds of things.
Right.
And Tiffany paid me out of her own pocket.
No way.
Yeah, they were paying her a certain amount, and Tiffany would pay me part of the amount.
Wow.
And I really appreciated that while she was teaching me the ropes. Tiffany is one of the most gracious people I've ever met, and driven in an incredible way, and driven by more than just her own desire. There are forces that are moving Tiffany to where she's going, and it's really incredible.
She's an incredible talent on air. She has so much energy on camera. I remember she popped into, oh my gosh, I was interviewing Seth Rogen. It was one of my first interviews for Fandango at Comic-Con.
Okay.
And he was, I'm sure, 50 Shades of stoned.
Oh, yeah.
But, as he always is.
Yes.
So, but he and I have a really funny relationship now because that's where it all started. So Fandango had this idea. We played games with the talent. Right. But I said, well, we should maybe start it seated and then go to play skee ball. They're like, no, like something to do with the schedule. Like, we have to have this side of the stage free. So let's just have you and Seth at the skee ball machine for like 20 minutes and do this interview. And it was like a beautiful train wreck because the first thing I said, like, look, when you're going to play skee ball for 20 minutes and you have a chat or an interview in the midst of it all, you want the person to be competitive because you got to get the game, you got to get into it. And the first thing I said to him is like, so are you competitive? He goes, not at all.
Oh, shit.
And he's so chilled out. And so I'm like, so should we play some skee ball then? Or should we just stand here? But anyway, it was kind of like it was the most, like, in terms of like the YouTube comments, it was either like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen or this is a total disaster. But because of that, because it was so weird, he shared it. It was the only thing he shared from all of Comic-Con on his Facebook page. So it got all these views.
Wow.
And then the next time I saw him, I'm like, remember me? I'm the skee ball girl. So every time he sees me, he says, we always have this train wreck of an interview. So then I interviewed him at South by Southwest for the Disaster Artist the next time. And he comes up and he asked me a question about the room, trying to testify I'd seen the room. And I had, but he was convinced that I hadn't. So then he's like, every time you interview me, it's a total disaster. It's skee ball all over again. But that's the beauty of it. Like, those are the moments for me that I love as an interviewer. Like, I don't want it to go right.
Yeah.
I want it to go sideways.
That's what's great about you when you see these interviews, because you like chaos more than you like the sitting on the chairs and having the back and forth and asking the same questions over and over again. You enjoy like trying to get them to laugh or get out of their element, get out of their like being comfortable zone, and you get some great reactions.
Thanks.
No, you really do.
Thank you.
Watching those interviews for you.
That.
No, it's true.
There's a couple of questions that make me cringe. Like, tell me about your character. Tell me about it. Makes me cringe. It's like, I want someone to just feel like they're hanging out with us. Yeah. And if it becomes, I'm asking a question and you're giving me an answer instead of a conversation.
Yeah.
Or if they say, somebody asked me that earlier. I'm like, crap, I didn't do my job. I want to ask them something. And you can't always.
Right.
You can't always ask them stuff that they haven't been asked before. And I've been guilty of, I just interviewed Oprah for Wrinkle in Time. And I'm telling you, I researched for 2 weeks. What do you ask Oprah when you have 4 minutes with her?
Right.
And Reese Witherspoon and Mindy Kaling all together.
Yeah.
And you have to give them equal time. What do you ask her? What's my big question going to be to Oprah? Right. And as it turned out, when I watched the junket, we all asked the same question. Yeah. Basically, in a nutshell, we all asked it in a different way.
Yeah.
And
because she's Oprah.
Because she's Oprah.
Yeah. You're just forced to ask because you want that answer.
You want the Oprah answer.
Yeah, and you want it for you. So you want your personalized Oprah answer.
Right. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I tried to, as one of my friends said, you tried to Oprah. You tried to be Oprah and ask Oprah a question that Oprah would ask instead of asking what you would ask.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's kind of true. I tried to impress Oprah, but we all did. We all tried to impress her. It's like one of those junkets where you see this, we see the same people in the junket circuit doing interviews. Yeah. And it was one of the only days that everybody who I knew who was always super chill was so nervous.
Right, yes.
Before we all went in that room.
Our Perry was super nervous. She interviewed them from Collider here. Yeah. She was crazy nervous for 2 days, like figuring out, what am I going to ask? What am I going to ask? What am I going to ask? Oh, is this right? Is this right? So she was like prepping, and she winds herself up when she wants to do, because she wants to do so well. She winds herself up to get her in the place. But then when she does the interviews, she usually knocks it out of the park. Yeah. So it's just that her process, whereas your process is to prepare and research and get as much possible. And then like, if it goes crazy, who cares? You got something memorable in your hands, right?
Yeah, I think I always just kind of research to the point where something will hit me and I'll go, oh, I got it. Oh, I know what I want to do. I don't know how it happens. I just keep reading, watching interviews over and over and seeing as much as I can find out about the person. Even somebody like Oprah. Like, let's try to figure out something. Let's try to dig or find something out. Yeah. And most of the time I'll go, oh, now I got it. Oh, now I know what I want to do here. And then you watch the movie and you get, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
It'll click.
But it doesn't always. Sometimes it doesn't.
Oh, really?
Yes, occasionally it doesn't. Okay. Or you have so many questions. Like that day, I think I had 25 questions.
In 4 minutes?
25.
How many did you get? 2?
And you hope, because that was not to take anything away from Chris Pine or Ava DuVernay, but they were in different rooms. Right. You almost hope you start with them, because then you can test out the questions. Yes. Because you kind of sometimes ask the same questions in the whole junket and they piece it together. Right. And I really tried to not interview Oprah first. And of course she was first. Yes. So it was like, but I will, this is what I told you before we started rolling.
Which is a good story.
She's very sexy, Oprah.
Really? Now you know why Stedman just like, he's the most docile guy on the planet, because he's like, this woman, I'm in love with this woman, whatever she wants.
Well, there's something about, and so I had met Oprah one time in passing really quick, but I'd never heard her speak. And then at the Golden Globes this year, I was in the press room where, after she gave the Cecil B. DeMille Award speech, she came back. And the press room, people come and go when winners come back. And when she came back, all the seats were filled. Everybody had their hand up. They all wanted to ask a question. Oprah. And she stood back there for like 30 minutes. And it became like personal life coaching because it was all like 20-something girls asking like advice.
Yeah.
And I was that person, if you ever watched her show, when they would sit in the audience and they'd pan to the audience and the audience was like, yes, you're so right. Yes, Oprah. Yes. That was me. Wow. I've never seen her speak in person.
Yeah.
And I was so blown away by the presence that I was sitting there. I was that girl going, you're so right. I love you. And then so she just like... that just ignited something. Like I've always loved her, but not to that level. And so when I sat down across from her, I was like, there's really something to, because, there's that old adage, like women find powerful men. Women like men that have money or have power.
Sure.
And it's not a guy thing. It's a guy and girl thing because she has that power and that presence. And I was like, she's really cute. Like, I really dig her right now. But here's what it was more than anything. She was so comfortable in her skin. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody in all the years I've been doing this that was so comfortable in their skin. Yeah. That just nothing you could ask her was ever going to rattle her or make her feel insecure. She's dealt with it all.
That's what I mean. She's been doing it for 30 years. Yeah. And she was doing it when she took all the hits as a black woman in Chicago in a local station, WGN, with her first show, trying to establish herself and trying to connect. And so she went through all this stuff, and she was through the tabloid years with her weight gain up and down. People were commenting on that all the time. Mm-hmm. The stuff with Gayle King, the stuff with Stedman, it was all there for the solo. And she has transcended it all, you know, and now become what I said, like this grande dame of America. They have grand dames in Britain, but this is what she is now. Yeah. And so I love that you say that she's comfortable in her own skin, because that was always her battle, right? For years, it was her battle with her weight up and down, and she would lose it and then make these big pronouncements, but then she would gain it back, and people would feel a relatability with that. I think that's what was so great about her, is that she didn't give off the airs of being someone who was above you. It was someone who had figured it out through trial and error. Right? Yeah. Isn't that makes her fascinating?
And that was what was cool when I said we all kind of asked in a roundabout way the same question.
Yeah.
Which was, what makes you, because the tagline in A Wrinkle in Time, which is what she was promoting, is be a warrior. It's about this 14-year-old girl that becomes a warrior. Mm-hmm. So everybody was kind of asking, when did you first know you were a warrior? What was that moment? And she gave everybody a different answer.
Did she really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you not like that?
I love it.
With that? Okay, yeah.
I love that. I'm like, she didn't roll her eyes. She made everybody feel special.
Wow.
And that's
a gift.
That's a thing. And then I heard her talking recently, and actually she was talking about Trump. Somebody asked her why she hasn't responded to the whole thing, and she gave one of the best answers to anything, and I'm using it now in my life.
Okay.
She said, they said, why haven't you responded? And she said, I'll only respond to somebody if I know I'm going to be heard. Oh. Isn't that good? Because think of the number of times we allow ourselves being drawn into a fight, or you try to talk to an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend, or you try and you end up feeling frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm using that in my life now. Like, don't talk to somebody unless you know you're going to be heard.
Right.
Not listened to, but heard.
Are you feeling heard now through this process?
I feel like I'm being heard by you.
Good,
I really want to turn the tables on you. I want to ask you questions about movies.
I know, because that's your natural thing.
But here's the thing. Yeah. But because every time I see you, we kind of scratch the surface about movies.
Yes. Let's get into it then. Let's get into it. I will let you dictate the next part of the podcast, the next part of this episode of this podcast. Go ahead.
Okay.
While I adjust in my chair.
First off,
my other leg's
I watched all the Collider top fives of last year.
You did.
And Christian Harloff, I'm like, he's such a dad now that he picked Wonder number 5.
Of course. He came from that screening. He came in the next day, and he was so emotional about it. He said it really moved him, and he actually cried in the theater.
There's something wrong with me, because I did not. Well, I did actually. I had a little weep, a mini weep. But I did. I wasn't openly sobbing from Wonder. But I was like, wow, he's really dad. But when I saw your top 5, okay. First of all, we need to clarify. Did you like Phantom Thread or did you not? Because you told Gray Drake you didn't love it. But then I was under the impression when you and I had talked that you loved it.
Yeah, I went and saw it a second time. And when I saw it a second time, I fell in love with the movie.
Really?
Yep. The first time I saw it, I was like, I need to unpack this. I'm not sure if I like it. So I think that's what I told Gray is I'm not sure if I liked it or not, but I need some more time with it. And so I took some time and then went and saw it again on a random date with a girl from Bumble. I just went on a date, and then we went to see it, and she wanted to see it. So I went and saw it, and I just completely, my whole mindset about it changed. I noticed the music, the Johnny Greenwood music. I noticed,
just like the girl, let's be honest.
What?
That you went on the date with.
No, I didn't know. It was over before
it clouded your whole thing.
Please. Yeah, it was over before it was the movie was over. But like when I was watching it, I was like actually really pulled away from her mentally because I was so focused on the film because I was like,
it didn't work out.
What didn't catch? Yeah, that's right. She wasn't enough to pull me away.
Why are you not paying attention to me? You're watching DDL on the big screen.
It's probably true. And Vicky Krieps.
How did you feel about the last scene? Because I have a theory that PTA ruins every movie in the last 5 minutes.
What? No, he doesn't ruin Punch Drunk Love. Do you think he ruins Punch Drunk Love?
I'm just going to say one word.
Okay.
Frogs.
That's Magnolia.
That's my biggest fear in life is frogs.
Is it really?
Yes. And the first time I watched Magnolia, I was like, this is a masterpiece. This is the best movie I've ever seen. Yep. I can't wait to see the way this ends, because 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, this is still the best movie I've ever seen in my life. And then it rained frogs. And I went, this is not happening. It truly is my biggest fear in life is frogs. Really? I have a random, irrational fear of frogs.
Wow.
So
I have a friend like that.
Really?
And her brother, who's a friend of mine, likes to go up to her whenever they get together and cup his hand, saying he has a frog in his hand. Yeah, that's the reaction. And she freaks the fuck out. She knows logically that there's no way he has a frog in his hand. But the look of it and the possibility scares the living shit out of her.
Can you imagine how I felt about Magnolia? But anyway, no. So Phantom Thread, the last 5 minutes. What did you think?
I loved it.
You did?
I did. He is choosing. Listen, spoiler if you haven't watched it, or probably nobody's watched it, so you guys probably aren't going to watch it.
Nobody's seen the movie.
Yeah, so let me just spoil it out. But I think it's fantastic because he takes you on this journey, and people who go to see this movie think it's like a young woman falling in love with an old man. It's, I've seen this before. No. This is a whole nother level of a man with a serious complex about his mother, finding a woman who's going to take care of him like his mother did, but also punish him. And that's what you see. That's what he sees as love, because that's what he knew from his mother. So it takes it to the nth degree, this idea that you fall in love with essentially a version of your mother. And that's what she was. When she poisons him the first time, I lost my fucking shit in the theater. Like, in my mind, I'm like...
Did you think he was going to die?
No.
You didn't?
No, but I knew because of the way she reacted to it. Like, she wasn't like scared. She wasn't like freaked out that he was going through what he was going through. She was more worried about getting caught by his sister for what he did or what she did. And so as she was nursing him back to health and he was having the visions, that's when I was like, okay, this is a lesson for him. So then when his hubris, like when they got married and then she's eating the way she's eating and they're out on the balcony, the toast, right? And he's like, oh, you can tell, what the fuck have I done marrying this woman just because I, survived this thing. And then when he's having the conversation with his sister about trying to divorce her, and she's in the room when she makes the omelet for him and he willingly eats it and goes through the process, then you understand that she understands how to love him. And he accepts this now because he understands her in a way that no woman has ever understood him, including his sister. And I thought it was fantastic.
I'm glad you came around with it.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing.
You know what?
And that's the thing, because what I loved about it is there's a lot of relationships, I think, in life where the tables turn. Where one person starts out in the position of power.
Yes.
And if it starts out that way, a lot of times what happens is there's this flip at some point in the relationship. I don't think I've ever seen it on screen like that before.
Yes.
Hey, that's real life. That's the way it happens. But I happen to have loved the movie. And I was one of the champions of the movie last year. I was like, go see Phantom Thread. And everybody would kind of glaze over when I said it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go see it. I'm like, you're not going to go see it. Can I get you a screener to watch? Well, you'll watch it then if you don't actually have to go to the theater.
You said you didn't like my top 5. You had an issue with my top 5.
I had an issue with your number 1.
What?
Oh, gosh.
Logan? What? What is your issue with Logan? My God, we're on.
It's a chick thing. It's a chick thing that I just found it
sexist.
I found it
so sexist.
I found it so violent.
What?
So incredibly violent.
This is who Wolverine is in the comics.
I know. I understand that.
Okay.
But just viscerally, I get to a point in a film where when there's that much killing on both sides, I don't care anymore for the hero.
Interesting.
And he made one fatal mistake in that film that got that family killed.
Yes.
And he knew better. And I stopped rooting for him at that point.
But you're not supposed to be rooting for him. You're supposed to be rooting for her. Let me unlock the movie for you, Nikki. You're supposed to be rooting for her. He is her vessel to a better version of himself. What's what we're supposed to do as fathers.
Right, it's transitioning. You're transitioning this, passing the torch, so to speak.
And you want her to be a better version of him.
And I get it, and I liked her. It just got to the point, and then when he's fighting his own avatar twice, I saw it the first time. I don't need to see it a second time.
Let me... Okay.
I did not. And look, everybody can be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
No.
It's a personal opinion. I just didn't like it. And for me, mainly, it was the violence. That I just, how many sets of claws and, neck slashed and whatever, where I just felt nauseous.
Okay.
And I just didn't care. And then right after I screened that movie, I went to see, what was the one? It was the Charlton Copley, Armie Hammer, the shootout one in the warehouse.
Oh, Free Fire.
I went and saw Free Fire right after that. So it was basically 6 hours of death.
And I liked Free Fire.
So maybe I need to see Logan again on its own without Free Fire thrown into the double feature. And I would feel differently. But yes.
I've seen it 31 times.
Are you joking?
Nope.
Are you serious? You've seen Logan 31 times?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's just a film that speaks to me where I'm at my age of my life. Like I'm in that kind of transition, getting older man type of thing, and kind of glimpsing my mortality. And so seeing that film really brought it to a head. And I love Daphne Keane because she's a fantastic Latina. I mean, to go toe-to-toe with Hugh Jackman in your first movie in such a way that you steal scenes from Hugh Jackman in his own character, like it's incredible what she was able to do. And I loved the movie for what it said. Right, when I cry every time. I cry in both. I cry when I think when Charles when he gives the speech, and then I cry when he's holding him, when he's burying him. That's when I cry, and he flips out with the shovel and passes out on the road. And then I cry at the end when he says to her, like, "Don't let them tell you what you are. Don't let them tell you what you can be." And every single time, I fucking break down, because that's a lesson my father gave me before he died of cancer in 2008. He said, you have to determine your life. Too much, you get so worried about what other people say about you that it colors how you act and how you. And I want to tell you, if there's one last thing I want to tell you before I go, it's like, decide your life for yourself. Wow. And so for whatever reason, so those are the reasons why I love the movie so much, because I understand his journey, I understand his pain, his frustration, his anger.
See, and you have a personal connection, and it means something to you, and I respect that. Like, that's incredible that you could see, that relationship and your father and a reflection of that in the film. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say anything against that. Right. For me, it wasn't the same thing, but I've had films like that too that resonate. I've had people, Scott Mantz told me himself that why he's so connected to La La Land. Everybody knows Scott Mantz and how much he loved La La Land. Right. And that's a beautiful thing about film. Yeah. Yeah. Is transports you. It makes you feel things on a level and connects you.
Well, that's why you like Phantom Thread. You like poisoning your lovers.
I really do. I'm glad I finally got to see myself represented on screen in that way. It's never quite been
so visceral.
Yeah.
And you like big dresses.
I feel like I was heard.
Did you like the dresses? I mean, you're a model. Did you love those dresses? Did you go insane?
That's the thing, too.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I love that film, because that's the whole world that I was in for a long time. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I love Lost in Translation, one of my favorite films of all time. Yeah. I've seen Lost in Translation 31 times.
Okay. At least.
Right. I spent time in Japan.
Oh, great.
And that whole scene where he's like, century times with the glass.
Yes.
And the person comes over to translate and they're saying all this stuff to the translator, the photographer. More intensity. And he's like, that's all she said? that was my life. That was my life. I saw that the first time and went, oh my gosh. I love it. And I love Bill Murray. Bill Murray is everything. Do
you buy the explanations that they make about the movie that that's supposed to be Cameron Diaz? The Anna Faris character is supposed to be Cameron Diaz and all that kind of stuff. Like, they've all denied it.
Yeah.
But that's what they said. The rumor is that she's supposed to be a representation of that.
Right.
And that Ribisi is supposed to be Spike Jonze as Coppola's version of it. Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean,
You don't have to comment if you feel.
No, but that film to me, and this is what I love about films like that. I like films that somebody can just sit there, like a Bill Murray, and there's very few people who can pull it off and be that captivating.
Yeah.
And there's just a nuance. Like, he can raise one eyebrow and it says everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much meaning behind it. Those are the movies that I lean forward in my chair and go, and I don't breathe. I'm just like I love those quiet and that relationship and chemistry and that's something you can't. And this is why a lot of films don't do well, is because we all talk about chemistry all the time.
Yeah, it's
and
everything.
There's a lot of actors that have chemistry, but to that level,
it's a good point.
Yeah, and I still love her mullet. I loved that mullet.
Yes. She is the cutest in that film. I'm not always the biggest fan of Scarlett in terms of performance or acting, but when she's like in the right role, she's captivating.
Yeah.
I loved her in Lucy. I loved her in Lost in Translation, and her voice acting in her is off the charts.
And Woody Allen's another one, but what was the Woody Allen movie she did? She was great in that movie.
Match Point.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was really, really good. That was a really good movie.
It was a sexy movie, too, which is surprising from Woody Allen, that kind of sexiness.
And also Vicky Cristina.
Yeah, Barcelona, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That was a great...
Talk about having the hots for Oprah. Yeah, very much so. Well, and you've gone on HLN. Like, I see you now popping up more and more on all these shows where they're asking you your personal opinions about these films. So this is more than just you're not just an interviewer. You're not just a pundit. You're not just a person on Fandango or doing these junkets. Like, you legitimately have these very nuanced and reasoned. Very nuanced and reasonable explanations for why you like certain movies, why you advocate for certain movies, and you talk about this like, you know, like your face changes from that goofy, fun girl to like all of a sudden you get like real serious when you're talking about Chillin'. Yeah, you do. Like there's like you lean in and you lean over and you're like, no, this is what's happening in the film, and I see how passionate you get.
I do, but I think, you know, when I go on like HLN and I go on these shows, what I you know, like when we're talking about Christian Harloff, I don't have his knowledge about Star Wars. I'm never going to go on and be a Star Wars expert.
Right.
But I grew up in a small town.
Yeah.
And I want to know that when I'm talking, my friends at home are going to be able to know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And not be so like, oh, only people in Hollywood get it. So that's what I try
That's a great philosophy.
to do when I talk about film on TV is people watching it. You know, it's sort of like just telling it like it is. Like, this is the kind of movie it is. Like, you love Logan.
Yeah.
I get why you love Logan. I get why a lot of people love Logan.
Right.
I'm not saying, oh, it's a piece of crap movie. I appreciate that it was a really well done movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't for me.
Right.
And here, audience out there, if this is the kind of movie you like, go see it.
Yeah.
And if not, fine.
Yeah.
Go see this instead.
Films are subjective. This is what since I walked into this business, I've said this because people will attack you for your opinions on films or your feelings on things, and I kind of grabbed this. And Perry makes fun of me all the time. I grabbed this mantra when people are bashing me for loving, because I'll defend the Transformers films for whatever reason. I just
love Transformers.
Thank you.
Love and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh
love.
my god. Oh my god, Nikki.
This is why I love Pacific Rim.
You just took my heart right now. I feel like I'm the only person on the island who defends these movies.
Watch a marathon. I love Transformers.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Opening weekend, I'm there every single time.
Next time next time you come on the show, we should do a commentary track on one of the Transformers films. That'd be brilliant.
We should. It's the best.
Because I love those films. And I dig the Pirates of the Caribbean films, too. Even the last one I enjoyed.
I thought the last
for the
one
most
was great.
part. Yeah.
I thought it was great.
It was going back to the original trilogy of those films. I thought it had the same vibe.
I walked in, and that, I think a lot of people, too, were like, I'm not going to go see it in the theater. I'm going to wait. Seeing it in the theater with the surround sound.
Of course.
was at Disney World.
Yeah.
I was like on that ride going, this is so much fun.
Yep. That whole safe scene when he's going through the...
fun watching movies?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be so serious? Like, we know it's not Shape of Water.
Right.
It's okay. We can go and have a giggle and,
exactly. And enjoy it.
And have a good time. But yeah.
What are your favorite films? Like, do you have a collection?
Eclectic.
Really? Okay.
So eclectic.
Okay.
Just like when you asked me what I drank, I'm like, beer and champagne and nothing else in between.
Well, that's not eclectic. That's a really...
It's like one extreme or the other, the like lowbrow or the highbrow.
Okay.
I like a really wide variety of films for no particular reason. Like I can't say like, oh, I'm a comic book person or I'm a romantic comedy person or I'm like there isn't a particular genre, but I can go through every single superhero movie and tell you which one I connected to and which one I didn't and why. Oh gosh.
Am I putting you on the spot?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Grand Budapest Hotel is one of my favorite movies.
That's such a great film.
I think I've seen that 32 times.
Wow.
Every time I go on a flight to Europe, I have to watch it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the first movie I watch when I get on the plane. It's like a ritual now that
Ralph
I always
Fiennes
watch it.
is so great in that movie. And the romance with Cersei and... what's the actor's name?
I forget the actor's name, but he's so...
It was a Schmodown question. I forget.
Somebody actually just messaged me on Instagram and said, I have a Lobby Boy t-shirt. I'm like, I want it. Send it to me now. That performance, all of them, it's just messes. It just...
Even I cannot tell you how much I love F. Murray Abraham. And now that he's had a renaissance... It's so enjoyable that he's showing up in these films and in Homeland and all this stuff. And I love him in the movie. Him and Jude Law, that chemistry they have.
Oh, my gosh.
When they're talking about everything.
Yeah, the line about, like, he orders the lamb and this should be enough time.
It's just brilliant.
It's just...
How does Wes Anderson's mind work to create these worlds that are so incredibly interesting and nuanced and, like, constructed and so unique and interesting and they keep you enthralled.
Every shot, unlike my face, when you freeze frame my face, every shot you could freeze and you could put a frame around it and hang it on your wall.
Yep.
Just...
Like I walked over to have lunch today, and they put up the Isle of Dogs posters at Burbank.
Can't wait to see that movie.
And I took a picture. I was like, this excites me to no end because I can't wait to see that movie.
Yeah, there's certain filmmakers that I just love. The Graduate, if you were going to go to classics, one of my favorite movies.
Really?
And again, it was one of those, I just hear Benjamin, and I see him at the bottom of the pool, and it's just like, this is amazing.
One word for you, Benjamin. Plastics. So then tell me about the last 5 minutes of that movie. What do you think happens at the end? What do you think that end look is?
Every time I see it, the first few times I watched it, I just thought they were just riding off into the sunset going, like that was a whirlwind. Okay, let's take a breath now. And then you watch it again and they're going, oh my God, what did we just do?
Yes.
Oh my God, do we actually like each other? Or do we just want to mess with our parents?
Right.
Did I just not want to be with that dude? And then... I think the last time I watched it was like I think like a couple months ago. It was pretty recent.
Okay.
And the more I watch it, the more I go, maybe I'm getting more pessimistic in life, but I'm like, oh, they're screwed. They're not going to last 6 months.
Oh no,
and they know it.
Yes,
and they know it.
I think that's what I agree too. I agree 1,000%. But I also think Nichols is making a statement about what was happening in the '60s at that time. This idea of the flower power, all of that was falling apart. Because they couldn't make the changes that they really wanted to make, and they were transitioning into adulthood where they had to start paying taxes and support themselves. And so this idealism was dying.
Yeah.
So, you could fight against your parents, but then you don't have your parents' money to support you anymore. And then you're sitting in the back of that bus going, oh, fuck, how are we going to make a living?
I got to go work at like the local convenience store. How romantic is that, honey?
Right. Neither one of us have a college degree.
Right.
And all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's an interesting film. All right, what else?
Oh, my gosh. Well, let's talk about movies, like recent ones.
Okay.
Should we talk about superhero movies?
Sure, if you want.
Are you, like, is that your...
You want to turn this around? You want to start questioning me?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Okay, go ahead. Proceed.
Favorite Marvel movie?
Probably still The Winter Soldier.
Really?
Captain America, because it's a 70s spy thriller. And I love those 70s
But I feel like that's not so unusual. A lot of people love.
I fight for that film because people try to tell me Civil War is better or Avengers is better, and I can't agree.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah, and Ragnarok has a conversation in the top 3 for me right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I fucking love that.
How many times have you watched it?
12.
Have you really? Mm-hmm. Do you really count, or are you just throwing a number out there?
No, I really count.
You really do?
Yeah, because some movies stick in your mind. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen Citizen Kane. That's my favorite film ever made.
Really?
And I've seen it in the theaters. I've seen every version it comes VHS. I've seen every version it comes in. But I can't tell you how many times I've seen it. But Ragnarok, because it's so recent, I've seen it a number of times. And I bought it and watched it like 3 times over the weekend because it's such a fun movie. And it doesn't shy away from the source material, which is incredible. And that's just a brilliant filmmaking by Taika Waititi.
And I love Chris when he's comedic.
Yes.
I love him when he's poking fun at himself. Yeah. And so who was your favorite character from that film?
Oh, damn, that's a good question. Shit. Well, the Hulk is who I am, so that's who I connect with the most.
Wait, do you connect with Banner or the Hulk more?
Both.
Really? Yeah, we're learning about you today.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was an angry man in the military. No, Tessa Thompson's my favorite character in the whole movie. Valkyrie, oh my God, I love her to pieces.
Yeah.
I got the biggest crush coming out of the movie for her. My God.
Well, she's
stunning.
Yeah.
And she's like, and she's tough as nails.
And she's not putting it on.
Nope.
I love when I watch females that aren't trying to be tough, they just are.
Nikki Novak, yes.
And that's what's, you know what? When I used to go out on acting auditions, I had really dark hair at the time. And if you're blonde, you get sent on the comedic, bubbly sitcom stuff.
Sure.
Very much typecasting. And because I have blue eyes and dark hair.
Right.
Or I had dark hair. Now I got a few highlights. But I would go out on these auditions. They would send me out on what I would call the kick-ass roles.
Right.
And I would call my mom, and I would say, Mom, they're trying to send me on another kick-ass role. I can't pull it off. I'm not that girl. I'm not tough.
You're not tough.
And people would say, yes, you are. You just got to find it. And I know I have it in myself.
Sure.
I can be tough.
Sure.
But I'm not tough for on-screen tough.
Right.
Like, that's not me.
Okay.
And I remember seeing, actually, Gal Gadot when she did Fast and Furious. Mm-hmm. And going, who is that girl? She's tough, but she just is.
Yeah.
And she's still feminine. Mm-hmm. She's not trying to be tough. She just is. But that's why
she's cocky.
Yeah, but the Tessa Thompson, she was just it's just who she is. She's not putting any airs on.
Even in Creed, she had that real comfortable vibe in who she is.
Yeah.
And it was so believable through the whole movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love her to pieces.
Yeah, I love her stomp. Her little you know what I mean? It was like her catwalk in the movie. Towards the end.
The slow motion walk. It was everything with the fireworks and everything like that. It was because my favorite shot is him coming out in slow motion to fight them on the bridge, and the start of the Led Zeppelin song, Immigrant Song, was so fucking fantastic. And then the next shot is her walking in slow motion. It's like double orgasm for me. So I was like watching that. I love that.
I still loved. He's a friend from work. That's still one of my favorite. Like, that's that line. The second time I went to watch it, I thought, I already know. We've seen it in all the commercials. We know the punchline. It's not going to be as funny.
No, it totally works.
It's still hilarious. And Grandmaster, I can't even.
Oh, Goldblum is so good.
I can't.
And I guess
and
what?
Him in an interview, stop it. He's my favorite because he'll go off the rails with you.
Wow.
Yeah, I need to I have the raw footage of my interview with him, and I need to turn it into like one big GIF.
Yeah.
Because his facial expressions are amazing.
Is there someone you haven't interviewed yet that you'd love to interview?
Well, my big dream interview, I just got to interview for the first time last year.
No, last year. Who was that?
Tom Cruise.
Really?
That was my dream.
Wow. You a massive Tom Cruise fan?
Massive Tom Cruise fan.
You are becoming like my favorite person. Can we go see movies? Like, I want to go see movies because I love Tom Cruise.
Listen, he's the movie star of movie stars.
Fuck yes, he is.
I don't give a crap what he did in his personal life. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I grew up watching his movies. I just watched A Few Good Men again a couple weeks ago. Like, that scene in the courtroom, I cried the last time I watched it.
Wow.
I got really emotional it just stirred me up on a plane. Mind you, I have another theory about watching films on a plane.
Okay.
It's a whole other thing.
All right, we'll talk.
The altitude does something, but
you get all emotional.
I do. I could cry in like a comedy. I could cry in like anything on a plane. I have a theory about movies seem better in the air than they do on the ground.
Okay.
Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Tom Cruise. Grew up watching his movies.
Yeah.
And like when we talk about getting nervous, I was nervous for Oprah, but it was another level for Tom Cruise.
Oh, I'm sure.
And because I also know he's very particular about who interviews him.
Really?
Like I think he approves it or somebody approves it.
Right.
And so I was like, if I got approved, it means he knows who I am, first of all. We're 8,000 people in my hometown growing up watching Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise knows who I am. And it was just like I floated in and out of that room. I don't even know what the heck happened in that room. But I do know that, so it was him and Doug Liman together. It was for American Made. It was in London.
Great
film. Thank you.
Holy shit, was that a good film.
Because that was Tom Cruise being charming. When was the last time we saw Tom Cruise being sexy in a movie with a woman? The scenes with, what's her name? She's such a cool actress.
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but yeah.
They were great together.
Yep.
She was great in the movie.
Yep. Doug knows how to use it.
Yes.
And McQuarrie, they both know how to use Tom,
yeah.
and he should be thankful that these directors found him.
Well, because Tom loves Doug.
Yeah.
Like, they mutually are friends. You know, there was the whole story about when they were filming American Made, they went camping into this area that they weren't, and they stayed in a tent, and they were, you know, they just like each other.
They just hung out.
And you could see it in the room. Like, they were both in the room, and it was one of the greatest thrills of my life, let alone my career.
Right.
Because actually sitting across from him and having him answer my questions.
And I tried
I was like, okay, you skate a thin line. It's my first time. I want to have him invite me back to more junkets and enjoy the interview. I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable. But I wanted to have a little fun. So I asked him about mooning in the movie, because he moons in the movie.
That's right.
So I said, you do all your own stunts. Do you have a butt double, or do you do your own butt stunts too? And he was basically like, oh, do my own butt. It was my own butt. And I was just like, well, you know, like, and I was just trying to have fun with him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to be respectful, but you want to do something different. Sure. Like I want to do something that, you know, and I was just to sit across and just take him in, take in every nuance of him. But he was one of the few people. There's only been, I think, 3 actors in all the time I've done junket interviews that actually got up out of their chair and shook my hand and sat back down. George Clooney was another.
Wow.
Yeah. Where, you know, they just normally sit there and they don't get up.
Yep.
Where they get up and they guide you into the room and make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But that was just like when I left the room, I was like, can I have more? I want more Tom. That was just not enough. I was riding that high for days.
What's his energy like? Like, because there are certain people you get in the room and the energy is almost overwhelming, because you can sense it, right? Like on a visceral level, that they overpower you with their energy. Like when I sat in the room one time with Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones, I couldn't fucking breathe.
Wow.
Because they just have this energy together that's royal. It's American royalty.
Wow.
When they were just with each other, and the ease of it, and you're just like, I should not be here right now. And so it's something. It's something that, because, you know, when you do a lot of interviews and you interview a lot of celebrities, it's not about that they're a star. Like, there's certain people that are superstars, and you're like, oh my God, it is Tom Cruise, and I'm sitting across an Oprah. Right. But that can easily dissipate. You've interviewed, I'm sure you have, big stars, and you walk in and you just don't feel that charisma that they might have on screen, but some people have it in the room. And he had that in spades in the room, you know? And you never know. Like, Sir Ben Kingsley had that. I interviewed him. He walked in the room and I was like, holy crap. But that's why he's so powerful in movies, because he will just give you a look and you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. And those are the actors that are the most interesting. You don't know if they're going to kiss you or like smack you. Yeah. And they might not even know in that moment what they're going to do. Like, they're they're ready to just live on that live wire, and you know, it's just, he was one of them. But Tom Cruise in person, to answer your question,
the little girl in me was just so, like I said, just floating.
Yeah.
But I tried to really be present and really take him in and really, he's very good at putting on a veneer in a sense.
Yes.
Like he's always a gentleman in interviews, like The Rock.
Yeah. And
I don't mean that it's not genuine. I mean that they're great showmen.
Yes.
And even when they're being interviewed, I wanted to see if I could crack them just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Your gumption. Your gumption is insane. Yes. You just wanted to get him a little bit.
Just to see even if it was just a blink happened half a second earlier than it should have, or just something. Give me something. That's what I needed.
Wow.
And
did you get it?
And I think I did.
Okay.
I think he was. There was a moment where Doug was answering a question that I really wanted Tom to answer, because it was kind of about his career and his, where he began and how he kind of became Tom Cruise in a sense. And it was kind of like when I Oprah'd Oprah, it was like one of those questions, like, take me through the moment that you knew you were special.
Right.
And he didn't want to answer it. He's not going to sit there, and he's humble.
Right.
So Doug starts answering it for him. And then I looked at him and I said, I need you to answer. And maybe not in those words.
Right.
And then I went back to him. Instead of like moving on, I said, and Tom, what do you think? And he gave me the most beautiful story. And it actually took me past my time because, they're wrapping you at a certain time. But if the star's talking, they're not going to cut the camera.
Right.
So he went into this story about, when he was a kid, how he used to climb trees. And I think he's told the story before. But he talked about I just got a sense from him, the passion that he has for what he does.
Right.
That from the time he was a kid, which I wish I had that as a kid. I didn't know what I wanted to do as a kid.
We covered that, yeah.
And just that he was so focused from such an early age. But the cool thing is, it's still there. Mm-hmm. And people are kind of like, well, why does he keep doing all these movies with stunts and this and that? Because he loves it.
Yeah.
He gets a high off of what can he do now that he's never done before.
Well, I think that's the problem we have as fans sometimes, is that we go, he shouldn't be doing that, he should be doing this. And there's a great line, one of my favorite films, Chariots of Fire, where he says to the guy, because they're trying to make him run on a Sunday, and he's a Christian, he's not going to run on a Sunday, he has to respect the Sabbath. And in the end, another runner comes in and goes, he can take my place on Thursday, I will run in a different race on Sunday for him. And they have this and then they leave, and the two people in charge have this conversation, and he says, well, he had us over the barrel, and thank God he did. He goes, what do you mean? I don't understand. He goes, well, because we thought to separate the running from the person, but the running is an extension of who he is, and nothing is worth that. Cutting that connection.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about it, that's the same kind of thing, is we have to take the good, we have to take the bad, the occasional bad with the good. Because we get all of this great stuff from Tom, we have to take the occasional moments when he goes a little too far or does a little too much, because he's figuring things, he's doing what he's doing, he's taking his chances. And in the long run, we get way more enjoyment out of what he does that's great than the occasional missteps or misfires when maybe his hubris or his ego gets in the way or whatever, his desire to do something.
And I hate this talk about, oh, he's too old and this. No, he's not. He's doing crap you're not doing. He's jumping up planes. He's doing all this. Like, who cares?
Liam's
if he's
in his 70s. Give me a fucking break. Liam's in his 70s doing shit. So I don't want to hear it.
I don't. If he's doing it well, his movies are still compelling. The stuff he's doing is still he's not repeating the same stunt over and over. He's doing things that are new every single time. Yeah. And he loves that. Mm-hmm. When he got on Instagram, by the way, a couple months ago, I lost my mind. Seeing Tom Cruise in my feed just makes me happy. Just like, he's actually on Instagram. This is so right and so wrong.
Do you have a list?
Of
you can get away with, you can sleep with these people, and no matter what relationship you're in.
You mean the laminated?
Yeah. Do you have a list? Is Tom on the list?
Yeah, he might be. It wasn't that I had to think about the answer. It was that I had to think about whether or not I wanted to admit it. Oprah's on the list.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't really thought about that in a while. Who's number one on yours?
What?
Tessa?
What? Me?
Tessa?
No. Rachel Weisz.
You just made the list.
Rachel Weisz.
Do you know that?
Yeah, it's Jericho.
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz. Oh, yeah. I would kill men for her. She is.
Have you told her that?
No, God, Jesus, I don't know what I would do if I interviewed her. I would lose my shit. Like I barely kept it together for The Rock. The Rock's been an idol of mine. So to see him,
is he on your list?
No, I wouldn't sleep with The Rock. But I would love to work out with The Rock. Yeah. Like that's a goal of mine as I go forward in this profession, to have an outlet hire me to work out with The Rock for a piece. That would be the shit.
Okay, would you rather?
Ooh, here we go.
Eat pancakes with The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to him for an hour.
Okay.
Or work out with him for a half hour. I don't know why I picked those times, but work out half hour, eat pancakes for an hour. Working out, you don't talk. You just work out. Pancakes, you're chatting, you're gibber-gabbering for an hour. And there's a chance you could become friends.
Right.
If you charm them.
No, I'll take the workout. For half an hour.
Really? You're just going to show him your stuff. Show him what you got. Leave it in the gym.
I want him to motivate me. Yeah, leave it in the gym. And maybe I'll earn his respect.
Yeah.
If I can hang at my level with what he's doing. And I think he's the kind of man who would respond to that more than a nice conversation over pancakes. Like he would see my heart. And that's what he talks about all the time in his messages. Because I follow him on Instagram religiously, on Instagram and on Twitter. I have the Rock app on my phone. I have the whole nine. And so he would sense my heart, my determination to achieve what I could achieve in that gym. I think it would win him over versus having pancakes with him and shooting the shit with him.
Wow.
Damn, that's a good would you rather, though. That was a good one.
I kind of...
You changed the subject. Who else is on the list? Is George Clooney on the list?
No.
Okay.
Never really.
Brad Pitt?
I'll tell you who's on the list.
Please.
Jack Black.
You would sleep with Jack Black?
I'm telling you, when I sat down at that Jumanji interview where I met you, I was the most nervous about Jack Black because I have a wild crush on him.
Really?
I love funny men. I don't give a crap what they look like for the most part.
Okay.
If they can make me laugh.
I've got a few jokes here.
Done.
No?
That's always been my thing. And that's the thing about Tom Cruise. When he was younger, I loved him, but I never thought he was sexy. I think he's gotten sexier because the cocky thing, I don't like the cocky thing.
Yeah.
When he used to do the, you know, like the Top Gun and all that.
Of course, all of it.
He was the man, but I wasn't like, oh, he's so cute.
Right.
Now that he's almost like a little crinkly in the eyes and a little...
He's weathered.
Yeah.
He's a little weathered.
Yeah, it's not fair. But, oh my gosh, who else is on my list?
Jack Black, that's a great
choice. I think
choice.
Chris Pratt is now on my list.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Captain America.
Chris Pratt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Star-Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, but not so much the Star-Lord Chris Pratt.
Parks and Rec Chris Pratt?
The Jurassic World Chris Pratt.
Okay, so not Parks and Rec Chris Pratt.
You know the pose?
Yeah, with
the hand in front of the Velociraptor?
Yeah.
I need him to do that to me.
Right. Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding.
It was a little hot. That was a little hot. Wow.
He's
I'd have to see you do that noise.
Well, because he's funny.
Yes, he's very funny. So do you take doughy Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec?
Love doughy.
Okay. Doughy Chris Pratt's
Not so much into a washboard stomach.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not at all.
All right.
And the shaved chest? No. No.
It has to be hairy.
Yeah.
You like a hairy chest.
A beast.
Like Robin Williams. Robin Williams is your ultimate male.
Well, there's levels.
He said he's funny and with a hairy chest.
I like a smattering of chest hair. I don't want like a fur coat.
You don't want a wolf.
Let me tell you about like Teen Wolf. No. I don't know. I like real. I actually really like nice guys.
Okay.
When somebody. That's why I said Chris Pratt actually because I'm not supposed to say, but I just interviewed him. I'm supposed to not give him that information, but I just interviewed him, and he
is it for a certain film that's coming out soon?
Might be. He has that thing where he doesn't. You know what he's thinking. It's on his face.
Yeah. He
can't hide it. Yeah. Like The Rock is very good. He's charming, but you really don't know what he's thinking.
No.
Because you have no clue.
Because the thing is incredible about The Rock is he turns it off. As soon as the interview is over, he's very kind, but you sense as a different person in the room.
Yeah. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. Love the guy.
Negative, yeah.
Because look, even if he is turning on, even if he's exhausted and turning on nice, at least he's turning on the nice instead of being exhausted and being a jerk.
Yep.
But Chris Pratt has that thing where his face has no filter. You know exactly what he's thinking.
Yeah.
He's almost like a little kid where if he's bored, he's going to look around. If he's enthralled, he's going to look at you. And he kind of did it all in the interview. I could see him doing it. But he's so genuine.
Yeah.
And he's just genuinely a nice guy. He's
That's a good thing.
Genuinely a dude that just happened to become famous.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people like watching him.
Right.
Just good person. There's no errors at all.
That's what people love.
You see the person. You see the heart and the soul. Like,
well, that's why I think the whole thing with Anna Faris just was so weird. The reaction, because people were like, there was a very strong reaction. Like, it's not your business. Why are you commenting on it? And then other people are like, oh, he got too famous for her. And then, of course, Anna's had a hard time with it as well. And so you see that because she has her podcast and she talks about it on her podcast, which is really interesting. So you're going through that. But he survived it all because people just have an affinity for him.
Yeah.
They just like him. And they remember.
But her too.
Yeah, and her too. Absolutely.
But that's why people were so heartbroken.
Yeah, because they liked them both.
Because they're genuinely, and she is one of the nicest people I've ever interviewed. I interviewed her on the set of Mom, and oh my gosh, talk about sweet.
Yeah.
Like, just...
I would love to get her on the show. Like, I would love to get her to talk about. This is my goal, to be honest with you. Like, if I could be honest for a second, not that you asked. But this is all I want to do with my life is interview people and get paid to interview people and be successful at it. This is my goal. And so,
but you're good at it.
You think so?
I think you're I actually, as we're doing this, I'm listening. I'm talking a lot more than I normally do. I'm like, that's a good interviewer because you listen. Mm-hmm. A lot of interviewers don't listen.
That's why the ladies like me, man, because I listen.
And it's really hard when you're doing these quick junket interviews and you have 4 minutes and you have certain things you got to ask and you got to get in and you got to. Yeah. It's very hard to stay in the moment and allowing it to go in a different direction, and you're good at that. You really listen.
Thank you. It's very kind of you.
And you have the ability to, you don't make it about you.
No. I don't want it to be because I'm genuinely interested in people. Like what you talked about earlier. Like, it's a genuine interest. You know,
what sign are you? It sounds so cliche.
God.
What are you?
I'm a Scorpio. A Scorpio Libra. I'm on the cusp.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm a passionate pursuit of balance. That's what I tell people.
Libras are generally very charming and they're great communicators. Really great. I'm a Gemini.
What does that mean? Is that the two?
Yeah. I don't know which one of me has shown up today, but...
Well, I'm enjoying the one that showed up.
There's 5 or 6.
Oh, really?
No, not really.
You're like Sybil.
No, but but we're communicators. It's an air sign, and I love to talk, and I love to listen. I love to connect with people.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I enjoy about your interviews. Like, you genuinely are having a great time, and that radiates. Like, you can see the people they ride your energy wave, and you see that in the interviews. It's incredible.
Thanks.
I'm still learning how to do this. So when I was watching, well, you get a lot of opportunities, and so it's fun to watch your work, which is why I worked so hard to get you on the show after we met in Hawaii, because I went and did some research on you, and Gray talked about how great you are, and I was like, okay, and I did some more things. I was like, oh man, I got to find a way. So that's why I was hassling on Instagram all the time. I was like,
you weren't hassling me at all. It was, but I did tell you, I'm like, after award season.
Yeah, you did.
After all that winds down.
Yeah. We finally found a time. And I turned down a screening tonight to
Which one?
Ready Player One. A friend of mine invited me to go see it in 3D.
Crap, did you make a bad decision?
No. Because I was like, I spent 3 months trying to line this up. I'm not
dying to see Ready Player One.
Well, my friend Jennifer, she was down there for the junket. I met her through Regal. She's through Regal.
Yeah.
She invites me to these influencer screenings.
Right.
And so there was one in 3D tonight downtown. And I was like, nope. It took me 3 months to schedule this thing. I'm sure I'm going to get a chance to watch it.
Tomorrow.
No. I can't tomorrow. I'm busy tomorrow. I got to do the live event for Schmodown.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Gosh. Ready Player One, though.
Yeah, but there'll be other screenings.
Chose me over Spielberg? What the heck is happening?
There'll be other.
I'm actually in the middle of the book right now.
Are you really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I saw it on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing. Like you should follow Nikki. She's at Nikki Novak. Follow her on Instagram. She videos everything that she's doing in her life, and it's very fascinating to watch. Do you have a new house? Is that what you were?
I do. I have a new house. I have deer in my backyard.
What is this all about? Where's this house at? You won't say. I'm sorry.
I live outside of LA.
There we go.
We'll just put it that way.
Okay.
I'm still a small town person.
Is this your house?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just, it was a needle in a haystack that I found this place.
Really?
And walked in and went, oh my God, what do I have to do to get this place? What do I have to do? But yeah, it's kind of weird because I didn't even know that I've got this amazing yard and view, and I have these like wild animals in my backyard. Yeah. So this is going to sound so cheesy, but you get to know the animals. Like, I know certain squirrels, I know certain deer, I know which ones they are, I know their patterns. And it's kind of been cool to get not back to it. I don't know when I was ever hanging out with deer before in my life, but it's just been it's a nice thing when we're in this crazy business to remind ourselves that we're not so important and there's other stuff going on out there.
Wow.
But yeah, no, so I just love my downtime. Yeah. I'm a bit of a like homebody.
You're a Netflix and chill kind of person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know that I was the last person to know what that meant?
What? Really?
When I was still at Young Hollywood.
Yeah.
I thought Netflix and chill meant you invited somebody over and you watch Netflix.
Yes.
So in an interview, I asked somebody, when you Netflix and chill, what do you watch? In an interview on camera, not knowing that it meant there was another meaning to it.
Yeah.
And the person just looked at me like, well, I don't watch anything. That's the whole point. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you watch? Like, what's your go-to? What's your top 5? What's your thing? And it's like, I learned on camera. Thank God it wasn't live. But I learned on camera what Netflix and chill was. This is what I mean. I'm a total nerd. I'm the last to know about certain things. The last to know.
That's a good thing, though. That means you're not trying to be on top of that kind of stuff. It's natural for you.
Naive.
Well,
very naive.
A good naive.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite shows you watch on Netflix or on TV shows? Anything?
I was cliche. Stranger Things, obsessed.
Okay.
But I was a huge, I love anything to do with aliens. I was a huge X-Files fan, back in the day. So,
right. Do you like the new series? Not quite the same magic.
I heard season 2 is great.
Okay.
I haven't seen season 2 yet.
Okay.
I heard they've sort of gone back to what they used to do in the olden days.
Back when
Big Little Lies.
I need to finish that.
I've seen it. But this is another thing. You might not connect to it in a way that a female might. Okay. And it's okay to say that different genders are going to react to different things in different ways. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about it watching it?
I watched the first 2 episodes, and it's hard for me because it's rich white women in this community dealing with shit. And I'm like, how much of this is going to... But a lot of my friends tell me that it gets really good and the acting is incredible.
Yeah.
And I have to finish it. It's my thing. Because I haven't seen Night Of either, and everyone says The Night Of is incredible. So I have to finish Big Little Lies to get into that. But what I started watching is Counterpart, the J.K. Simmons one on Stars.
Oh, there's so many.
That is. I know. It's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, my God.
There's so much content.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
And good content.
Yeah, and great content. Yeah. And every channel is getting into scripted content, which is incredible. Remember, it used to be the reality show for everything.
Yeah.
Now it's scripted. Like Apple wants to do.
I want Fandango to do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Why
shouldn't we get into scripted content?
You go back to your acting roots.
We could go back. We could cast ourselves. I wouldn't even have to audition.
Yeah. You could put yourself in it. You'd be great. And Tiffany's doing so much now.
She's doing a lot of acting, right?
I know, right?
But she loves it. Like that's really her.
Even 2 years ago, before she was blowing up and doing all that stuff, like she would talk about, she would ask me about voice. Like I helped her a couple times on voiceover auditions because I do that.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I've got this audition and blah, blah, blah. Will you come down and like sit with me and go through it and highlight and talk about it? And so it was great to help her out a little bit as she was going forward through that because it was like a nice way to pay back, what she'd done for me.
Listen, if I never had to audition, I'd be great.
Well, who doesn't want Straight Offer? Nikki, we're taking you to Straight Offer series regular.
Who was I just said? Some actor said they had to read for something that I was like, hold on.
Isn't it fascinating when people say they have to read and you're like, what? How are you still reading?
So one time I got to see the audition tapes for this one film that you would not believe the actresses that put themselves on tape for this. And I got to see it all. Because this person who wasn't supposed to show me the tape showed me the tapes. Ooh. And I think it was actually supposed to be a pep talk at the time. Like, you can do this because look at this person who won an Academy Award. Look at them reading. That read wasn't great because they weren't right for the role or whatever it was. But yeah, like I couldn't believe
the
number of people putting themselves on tape. I'm like, what? Why don't you just tell them just to offer it to you? But no, people still have to read for. You know what? It actually was Oprah. Oprah said she had to read for Ava DuVernay.
What?
She said it, but I don't know if she really meant a reading like. Will you
like
read for the role?
Yeah.
I don't think she meant it that way, but
I want to send her a tape of Color Purple and be like, call me back. Call me after you finish watching this.
Oprah, look me up. Google me.
You might know me from such things as everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So but that just still blows my mind that people actually have to audition for things that
actors, for as much as actors can feel like they're the center of the world, like sometimes people do see us. I remember a director once said that to me. He's like, I see actors as movable props. And that always stuck with me because there are some people who still feel that way about acting. No matter how successful they are, they still see them as movable props. So it's always an interesting little game. Do you
ever watch audition tapes on YouTube, the ones that leak on YouTube? Do you remember Rachel McAdams from The Notebook?
Yes. She was incredible. Incredible watching that. I saw one recently. The Game of Thrones ones.
No.
Those were intense.
Did those go out? I haven't seen those.
Oh,
I'll be
yeah.
watching those when I go home tonight.
I went through a black hole of those because there were so many of them. And just watching all the, I think Gwendolyn Christie's is fantastic. And obviously Emilia Clarke, she's so young.
Did you watch Stranger Things?
Yes.
So season 2 you've seen?
Yes.
So the guy, I think his name's Dacre Montgomery.
Okay.
He plays the baddie.
Yes.
His audition tape. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
You have to watch it.
Okay.
He plays Hungry Like the Wolf in the background, and he's in like boxers or something.
Stop.
He's shirtless, and he's the cockiest MF you've ever seen in your life. And I'm like, I'd hire you to be like you could play a 20-something chick and I'd hire you. Like, he's just so competent. Wow. And one casting director told me that once about Colin Farrell.
Yeah. Oh.
She said he walked in the room and he wasn't the best actor at the time. It was really early on. But he believed in himself on a level that was captivating. Like, she's like, I've never seen anybody so cocky in my life.
Wow.
But not in a creepy way, in a charming way. Mm-hmm. She was like, I had to cast him.
Some people just can walk that line of cocky and charming. I wish I had
some of that.
What?
I wish I had more of that. When I auditioned in that, oh yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
What?
Don't we all wish we had more of that?
You've been all over the world. You've done magazines. You've done all these things that you've done. Like, you've been seen in so many things. Do you still, really?
Oh yeah, we all wish that we could go in and just. I mean, do you walk out of something and go, oh, I crushed that? No.
I mean, my interviews, yes. Like my podcasts, I can always I do this well.
Are you crushing this right now?
I feel like I could crush it more, and I can't find my way into how to crush it more. But I feel like I'm doing well.
You mean this one in particular?
This one in particular. Yeah, I feel like I'm not.
Okay, go for it.
I don't know what there is to. I don't know. I can't find it. I can't find the crush moment. But I think it's a good interview. I think we're having a great time. We're at an hour and 40 minutes. I'm sorry.
Seriously?
I'm so sorry. I'm
having a blast.
Are you sure?
It feels like 10.
Do you have to run?
I'm sorry for I'm sorry to the people at home that are like, yeah, it feels like 2.5 hours to me.
No one's going to say that. People love my long form interviews. Like, they love the 2-hour ones. They'll
Do
sit
you
and
get feedback because I feel like with this, we've gone on so many tangents.
Mm-hmm. People love the tangents.
From Trump to did I think we were going to talk about Trump? No.
Right.
Did I think I was going to tell you I wanted to make out with Tom Cruise? No.
So I got some tidbits.
What would make you feel like you crushed?
I don't know.
We need to eat some Laffy Taffies that are here. We need to get silly.
Yeah, okay. What's the craziest thing you've ever done?
That I can talk about?
Sure.
In an interview or in life?
No, in life. Let's move past interviewing celebrities. Let's talk about Nikki Novak.
The craziest thing, define crazy though. I've done a lot of crazy shit that I probably shouldn't have done, that I probably can't talk about. But the first thing that popped to my head, which I always think when you ask somebody a question and they go like this, and I go, what just popped in your head?
Yeah.
Because they never want to tell you the first thing.
Right.
because it's usually, but this, and I don't want to sound posh by saying this, but this is one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me.
Okay.
When I was still a model, I was a wine spokesperson. This person hired me so basically I got flown around to, I was a glorified wine pourer. Like I would go and talk about the wine. I learned all about it. But we were in Aspen at the Food and Wine Festival.
Ooh, nice.
And Richard Branson was walking down the street behind me and my boss. Mm-hmm. And my boss was just an uber fan. Like that was that was his Rock, his Tom Cruise, his whatever. And he starts just shaking. He's the shyest dude. And he's just like, Richard Branson is behind us right now. So I turn around like, hey, what's up? So we start talking and we end up going to coffee with Richard. He invites us to coffee.
Wow.
And then he invites us into this like uber exclusive area of the festival that you can only get in if you're Richard Branson that we did not have tickets for. So we start popping the wine back with Branson and we're tasting all this stuff. He brings us around for the whole afternoon.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, he says to me, I want to set you up with my son. Give me your number. And I'm like, okay. Sounds good.
Holy shit.
I'm like, he's never going to call. Like, and how did his son, like, whatever. His son lives in, and his son's now married, but was single at the time. So please don't think it was weird. But anyway, 2 weeks later, I get this call on my cell phone.
Yeah.
Hello, this is so-and-so from Richard Branson's office. And I'm like, somebody's kidding. Somebody that I told this story to is kidding.
Messing with you.
He would like to invite you to Necker Island for his son's birthday.
Holy shit.
Would you like to go? And I'm like, okay, how do I get there? What do I do? What do I, And just in full disclosure, half the people in my life were like, Richard Branson probably wants to invite you for himself. And the other half was like, maybe he really does want to set you up with his son. And how great is that?
Sure.
But am I going to go to Necker Island and never be seen again? Like, what's going to happen? So
when you deal with the rich people, you never know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
They sent me a plane ticket.
Okay.
We all met in Miami. We got on his plane. It was his wife, him, his assistant, bunch of his son, a bunch of his buddy friends, a couple of girlfriends. Wow. We all go to the Dominican.
And you don't know any of these people except for Richard.
I don't know any of these people.
And Richard only from that night.
And I had flown on a red eye, so this is my first thing in the morning, but they've all been in Miami already. And we get on his plane and we go to the Dominican. Yeah. And Richard, his whole motto in life is say yes to everything. Like and I don't mean something.
Well, of course. Yeah.
If somebody gives you an opportunity, say yes. So we go to the Dominican and his whole deal is adventure, kite surfing. Mm-hmm. You know, he did the hot air ballooning around the world, the whole thing. So he's like, I want to give everybody on me. We're going to go to the Dominican for a couple days before we go to the island. Kite surfing lessons. Well, I get out on the beach. I'm doing my kite surfing lessons. And then he says, we're going to go to this place you've never gone before. They take us in this van. We jump in a van. We go up to the top of the mountains in the Dominican. And we basically look over and there's this 30-foot cliff that we have to jump to like start this adventure. So basically they've taken us to the top and we have to go down by cliff jumping, rappelling.
Right.
Like rope, they do the rappelling and all that. There's frogs in there. We're in the freaking like rainforesty kind of area. I'm terrified. I'm like, there's frogs in there. This is not like what is happening to my life right now. But I'm like, I got to do it. Like I got to do it.
Right.
So I jumped off the cliff and I did the whole thing. And we ended up finally, like a day later, ended up on Necker Island. Yeah. And it was one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me in my life. Like what was happening?
Right.
What was happening? That I was on this island, that it's his island, and it was, turns out like 25 friends flew over from London all on the same plane, and it was just a party. Like it was just so when you say what's the craziest, that was the craziest thing that's ever happened to me.
Okay.
Because
did you end up dating his son?
Actually, no. I'm sorry. I forgot.
I mean, the whole point was you to
clearly no.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, no, you could have dated him and he still married someone else.
No, he was, you know what? And this was my strategy.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get invited back to the island?
Right.
If I date the son, we're going to break up sometime, and then I won't get invited back.
That's
if
a smart woman.
Friends with the son,
right,
and friends with everybody, he'll invite me back every year. Turns out, I didn't date the son, and I never got invited back. But I actually ended up interviewing him. I've interviewed him like three, 4 times since, Richard. And every time I see him, such a great guy.
Yeah, I saw him punch you in the mouth. Yeah, I saw that interview.
Oh, yeah, he did punch me in the face.
Yes,
he did punch me in the face. He had boxing gloves on. And I'm like, give it your best shot, thinking he's never going to hit me. And he popped me one.
Yeah. And you were like, what the?
Oh. What did you just do? I don't think he meant to connect to the level that he did. But he's a fun dude. But yeah, I don't know. That was just what came to my mind when you asked that question.
Is there a worse? Can you talk about the worst interview you've ever had?
The worst interview I've ever had?
Can you say? Like the person?
Jonah Hill, that's all I'm going to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hear good things about him either.
Jonah Will, that's all I can say for now.
All right.
Till the next podcast.
All right.
Yeah, but it was not good.
Do you feel like I crushed
And I interviewed him since.
You have?
I did interview him after that, and I didn't know if he was going to remember me, and I didn't know if he was going to remember that we didn't have a good interview.
Right.
And he didn't, thankfully, remember, or if he did, he certainly didn't call it out. And he was lovely. He was fine.
Oh, great. There we go.
And I think, look, I'm always going to say, when I walk out of an interview, I'm always going to say, what did I do wrong? I'm never going to be like, that person was a jerk. And I always give a person a second chance. Like,
oh, I see. So if it goes bad, you look at what did I do wrong that let it go bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are exceptions. And in that case, I watched it back and I don't think I did anything wrong. But the first thing you do is you go, what did I do to offend that person or for it not to go well? And I always give some of the better, rather than saying that person's a jackhole.
Yeah.
The first time I met Tom Hanks, he wasn't that nice.
What?
But he was just having a bad day. I've met him like 10 times since, and he's the nicest dude ever.
Let's not spread that rumor. He's a nice
No, trust me, the nicest dude ever. He came over on a red carpet. He skipped all the big outlets and was like, I'm going to talk to all the people on the online world over here that aren't going to get an interview. And he spent like 30 minutes, him and Rita spent 30 minutes just talking with us and didn't do the big TV ones and didn't do... He's just the best. But, if I had judged him on the first time I met him, so when I met Jonah Hill again, I think maybe if I did make a mistake in that interview, it was assuming you're a comedian, you're going to be funny.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I set him up for a joke, and I teed him up.
And he knocked you out.
He knocked me out.
Yeah, a lot of comedians are interesting in that way.
Interesting.
Seinfeld's that way. Like a lot of these comedians, once they're off the stage, they're very reserved or cerebral, and they don't like to make jokes necessarily or be set up for them. They'll do them if they feel comfortable enough with you.
But a lot of times they do. Like Will Ferrell, I just interviewed for The House, and he's
a sweetheart, man.
I teed him up, and he knocked everyone out of the park. He was such a gentleman. I had really cornball ideas. I brought in a goofy pair of sunglasses, and he put them on, and he did this whole bit. He just improv'd on the spot, and I'm just like, he could have chosen not to.
Yeah.
And you take a risk when you set up a comedian for a joke, and and I say most of the time they'll go for it, but you read the room before you go in.
Oh, sure.
You see if they're the type that seems on. Tracy Morgan wigged me out. I interviewed him a couple years ago, and he came in, and he was cracking jokes left and right.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this interview's going to go off. He and I are going to have a blast.
Right.
And the camera rolled, and I think he was messing with me. He just decided to go radio silent.
Yeah.
And make me work my ass off in that interview. And I just think he just felt like, he felt like it. And
that's part of his comedy, though.
Part of his thing.
Is that's why he was so great on 30 Rock, is you watch a show, even though it's a scripted show, you don't know what he's going to do from one moment to the next on that show. And it amps it up to the real uncomfortable nature of it all, even though it's funny.
Yeah.
You have no idea what he's going to do.
It was just wildly uncomfortable.
Right.
And then, sometimes, too, you think things go badly and you watch them back. Do you find that sometimes?
Yes.
You feel like something doesn't feel right and you watch it back, you're like, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, my first interview, when I interviewed Rock for the Baywatch thing, I thought, oh, God, I fucked that all up. I talked over him. I was too like this because I was so nervous. And I watched it back and I was like, holy shit, it worked. It's not an issue. It was like it was a really relaxed kind of fun interview. And so, but I just got caught up in thinking that it was. So, yeah.
Well, and that's somebody who's a really great interviewer, George Stroumboulopoulos. Do you know him? He's a Canadian interviewer.
Okay.
He's really great. And I was interviewing him one time, but right before him was another person. So he was in the green room watching my interview.
Yeah.
And it was a young actor that had been junketing all day. He was exhausted and he honestly had nothing left in him. He was out of gas and I was trying so hard. And I didn't know George was in the green room and could hear me. And when the actor left, I said to my producer, I'm like, that did not go well. And he walked in and I'm like, George, I've always wanted to interview you. You're just amazing, blah, blah, blah. And he just said he watched it. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry you had to watch that. Please don't think that that's, how things are going to go.
Right.
And he actually said, no, I actually really enjoyed the interview. And I said, why? And he said, because he was himself. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, he was being himself.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, you're not going to, if you wanted him to do something, he didn't do it. That's okay. He was being him.
Right.
And that's all you can ask for.
Genuine stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and he's
great.
like, I actually thought it was fine.
Yeah.
So don't think you're going to change somebody in 10 minutes to be what you want them to. That's the thing, the beauty of it is going with the flow.
That's what I enjoy doing. All right, we have 5 minutes left.
Okay. Make it count, babe. Make it count.
No, I'm turning around on you.
That sounded very bad, by the way. I meant what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about?
I want Nikki Novak to interview me on a junket, a 5-minute junket now.
What's
Improv.
The movie?
Who knows? Oh, that's a good question. What is the movie? An action-adventure movie.
Okay.
That is superhero action-adventure movie. How about that? No.
Were you the superhero? What role did you play?
This is you're just supposed to come up with it.
Well, I need a bit.
Okay. You need you need parameters.
Okay. Well, first off, if I don't know anything about the movie or you, do you have a hidden talent? Can you do anything weird with your face or whatever? Can you do something weird with your voice? You're a voiceover actor. What's the weirdest thing you could do with your voice? Do it.
I don't know if I have. It's kind of late at night. I don't know if I can do it. But I did a project one time where I had to do a screeching creature.
Don't set it up. Just do it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
I can
you
go
could
really
be
high.
a dinosaur in Jurassic. You could be one of the dinosaurs.
This would be
one of the pterodactyl things.
Yes, and I can go high. Like it's a little late at night, but I normally can go like really, really high with.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was so cool. I love that. That was awesome.
That's perfect.
That was a little bit of Marge Simpson meets I don't know what.
That was a fast Marge Simpson because she's a lot slower. What do I do and marry to you? Okay.
That's all I got.
That's all you got? Okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, look, how would I interview you for a junket? Yeah, it really depends on the person. What the movie is.
Yeah, that's a real big thing for you. The movie.
Well, when I go to screenings, I'll sit in the room, and that's why I have my little Lemur notebook.
Yeah.
Because I'm writing in the dark, and I'll write the most random shit down. Like if somebody's eating a Kit Kat.
Yeah.
It'll give me an idea. It might be the most small little thing in the movie.
Right.
But it'll give me an idea.
You don't use all of them. They're just like kind of.
I'll just, and then I'll go home that night, and because I've written in the dark. Sometimes I'm like, what did I write? What the hell was that? I don't even remember.
Right.
But then, something will just, I don't know, something will just come to me like, oh, yes, I totally want to do this. Like, here's an example.
Okay.
For Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm. The most recent one?
The most recent one. There's a scene where, drawing a blank on his name. Star Wars.
Oh, John Boyega.
John.
Yeah.
Who's awesome.
Yes.
Is eating ice cream. In the scene, and the scene with Scott Eastwood, and they're going toe to toe, and they're not getting along at this point in the movie. It's towards the beginning.
Okay.
And John picks up these sprinkles, and you know the Salt Man that went viral on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
He like sprinkles the sprinkles, which I'm doing right now, like the Salt Man, because he's being cocky and he's throwing it in Scott Eastwood's face. So I wrote down sprinkles, ice cream in my notepad. I'm like, what am I going to do with that?
Right.
So I ended up doing an ice cream personality test with the whole cast. Tell me your favorite ice cream and I'll tell you what it says about you.
Right.
And it was so much fun. Like, it just ended up being a blast.
Did you have a cheat? Like,
I found like this thing online that tells you, like, a psychologist broke down what all the different. So what's your favorite ice cream, by the way?
Do you know this offhand?
I'll remember this. If it's something they picked, I'll remember it.
I have 3.
Okay, means you have a split personality. Okay.
Yeah. Neapolitan.
Okay.
Butter pecan and mint chocolate chip. Those are my 3 favorites.
The only one I remember from that list, because I don't think anybody else chose those, was the mint chocolate chip. Means you like to argue.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm. I kind of enjoy the debates and the arguing. I'm not fighting, arguing, like debating something. I enjoy that.
Yeah, Scotty's would pick that. And I'm like, do you want to argue for the rest of the interview? Let's just fight. Let's just have a fight for 3.5 more minutes. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. I really wanted to do it, but then we ended up talking.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Actually, mint chip.
Oh, this is okay. Do you fight in relationships? Do you pick fights? Are you the kind of person who likes to pick fights every once in a while?
I think I've changed. I think I used to when I was younger.
Okay, what was that all about? Were you testing his attraction for you or interest in you? Or you just didn't like being in a relationship, so you were pushed back a little bit?
Probably a lot of all of it. Probably really depended. But my dad used to tell me, you should have been a lawyer because you love to argue. But not argue, yell.
Ooh.
Like irate, psycho arguing.
Really?
I like to debate.
Yes.
I like to... Because we like to talk.
Yes.
We like to get into it and talk. And if somebody doesn't want to do that, I want to fight with them because they won't do it.
Yeah.
Come on, communicate with me.
I hate when when you're in relationships, I can't talk about it for 2 days. That used to drive me insane. I dated a couple of girls. They'd be like, I need a couple of days to process it, and then we could talk about it. And
I won't want to talk about it anymore. I'll be over it.
I'll be way past it by the time you want to talk about it. I'll be way past it.
Those things where they don't go to bed mad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to fall asleep if we don't talk about it.
Right.
Then I'll be more mad tomorrow because I wouldn't have slept.
Exactly.
Let's just get it out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm the same way. I toss and turn. If there's an argument or something I haven't resolved, I toss and turn like crazy. Because I'm like, no, I just need answers. I just want the closure on this thing so I can move on.
Yeah.
It's really,
But now, no, I just want to, I don't know. I don't want to fight. I just don't.
I don't know how old you are. I'm getting to that age where it's too exhausting now. It was fun in my 20s.
Yeah.
Or a little bit in my 30s. But as you get older, you're just I just want to get along.
Yeah.
And if you want to fight, knock yourself out.
Right.
I don't have the energy. I'm going to turn on the TV or I'm going to go and listen to music. Because it was fun back then because it was a thrill and a joy and insane. But as you get older, you're just I've been through the wars. I'm I just want to chill out now.
Well, I think it also takes away a piece of the relationship. I think it chips away at it. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know, you end up, you make up, but then there's something.
You never quite feel that love again that you did before. Yeah.
No, and everybody is different. Every relationship is different. But just for me, especially when it goes to a certain level, when disrespect or you say stuff you regret but you know what? When I'm thinking about it, I haven't had that, and really I haven't been in a fighting kind of situation
in a long time.
A really long time. Okay. Maybe I need to. Maybe I need a little mint chip in my life.
I wish I would have picked up maybe the next time.
Oh, we could have had mint chip.
Yeah. Damn it.
Okay, so damn it. Hold on.
Okay.
So you told me your favorite movie of all time. I want 2, 3, 4, 5 before we go.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be in that order or anything. Just whatever pops in your head.
I always know it. That's why when people go, I don't understand those people. I don't understand people who don't have it already listed in their head.
Yeah.
Number 1 is Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Seven Samurai. Number 3 is Godfather Part 2.
Wow.
Number 4 is Apocalypse Now. And number 5 is probably Lawrence of Arabia.
Are you a dude by any chance?
Look, When Harry Met Sally's in the top 10.
Why didn't you just put Shawshank Redemption in there and then you'd really be cliche?
I love that damn movie. No.
Every guy, it's on their top 5 list. I think you're the first person I've ever met that it wasn't on their top 5.
Which one? Shawshank?
Yeah.
No. It's a good movie, but it's not my top 10. It's in my top 20, maybe.
But I think I'm talking about maybe guys that aren't in
as evolved as I am. That's right.
Aren't as movie
no
what's the word?
I think I had it right the first time. As evolved as I am. I understand. I respect that.
Or as evolved a man as you are.
Next time you come on, I hope you want to come on again. I will pick up
gosh.
stuff we can fight about, like we can debate about.
That would be awesome.
Because that would be fun.
We can fight more about movies, too.
Okay. Yeah, because you were going to talk about movies.
We didn't really. When you realize that Logan wasn't as good as you think it is.
Oh, yeah. What was your top 5 from last year? Phantom Thread, clearly.
Do you know what movie I really liked that nobody saw was The Glass Castle? Woody Harrelson was so freaking good. Everybody nominated him for this 3 Billboards movie. He was a lead actor. He would have been a lead actor. Did you see it?
No.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't sound like a movie.
Very dark movie, but great.
He's in a weird period, isn't he?
Based on a book where he plays this abusive father. It's a true story.
Oh, wow.
This woman, I forget her name, Jeanette Walls, I think, wrote her own life story.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. When we talk about who deserved an Academy Award, Daniel Day-Lewis, Gary Oldman, and him were my top 3 favorite performances of last year.
Wow.
It was a great movie that nobody saw.
Okay. That's in your top 5?
For the last year? No, it just popped in my head. I don't know if it's my top 5.
Jesus, Nikki, stay focused.
Oh, well, listen, I'm a Gemini. I change my mind all the time. Wait, did Grand Budapest come out last year? No.
No, it didn't.
I'm kidding. It's sitting right in front of me, but Get Out.
Okay.
Was the movie... I have a really hard time picking favorites in the sense of like making a list.
Okay.
Sorry if that's frustrating to you.
I asked you a question.
But Get Out to me is the movie that I want to watch over and over and over and over and over.
It's a tough watch.
Is it?
It is if you like. It's tough.
Fascinating.
Because I've experienced racism through my parents because they're first generation. I'm first generation American. They're Bolivian, and like we moved into a small town when I was younger of all white people, Southern white people. So it was a transition. So any film that tackles racism in a way that's like really honest, like Get Out. Get Out is the truth of what we whisper.
Oh, it's
and I couldn't believe it.
It's even more than that. And then I actually read an interview that Jordan did after where he talked about things, you know how in the movie people say things like, oh, I would have voted for Obama a second time and that, but it's racism in a weird way. It's like saying I'm not racist. The things that white people started saying to him about the movie that were a reflection of the movie.
That were the Bradley Whitford.
Or like, I've seen it 4 times.
Yeah.
I've seen it 4 times. It's like, I'm not racist. I've seen it 4 times. It's an endless. I forget how many times I've actually seen it now. I've seen it 4 times. But I've watched it, and that's the cool thing about that movie is the first time is the big reveal, and you're like, holy crap! Yeah. The line when she says, "I can't give you the keys, babe," and he drops the knapsack. I just got chills.
Yeah.
His face. He's so freaking good in that movie.
Kaluuya's
and
fantastic.
I interviewed him. For Black Panther.
Nice.
And he was a blast.
Yeah.
And that's I walked in the interview and I said, everybody wants to talk to you about the same thing, your Oscar nomination, this and that. I'm like, let's talk about Bruno Mars because I know he loves Bruno Mars. And we started rapping. He started rapping Snoop Dogg for me.
Wow.
It was awesome. He's just a cool dude. He's a fascinating actor to watch.
Yeah.
And then I interviewed
You're on your tangent.
who went to school with him.
You're on your tangent again. Yeah. Who's
John Boyega went to school with him.
Okay.
And I
Wait,
said,
is Kaluuya British?
Yeah.
I didn't fucking know he's British.
Yeah. And he and Letitia Wright from Black Panther.
Letitia, I know she's British.
All went to school together, to the same acting school. And I said to John, did you guys ever think that you all would be in these big blockbuster franchises for Disney like years later? And he said, Letitia, yes. She knew from the beginning what she wanted. She wanted that. But he said, Daniel, we all knew he was a star. He was that guy in acting class that's that much better than everybody else, and it comes easy.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was so good in Get Out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my answers are so long-winded.
The scene where she's eating the Cheerios and the milk, like separating the Cheerios from the Fruit Loops from the milk, that's segregation.
Yeah. Oh, all the cotton picking that came out later.
It's also there.
And
it's subtle. It's brilliant.
Oh my gosh. But then when you see it, that's when you said, is it difficult to watch? I understand what you're saying, the racial aspect. But what's so cool about the more times you watch it is all that other stuff you pick up on, that the reveal, it doesn't lose anything. You know those movies like The Sixth Sense that have the reveal and you watch it again and it's kind of, okay, I get it. And you see it again. Not with this movie. No. You see more and more and more. So cool. So when you say favorite movies, that's a movie. I like movies that people are going to talk about years from now that are going to make an impact. Here, another one that weirdly snuck up on me is Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah.
Because I was late to the party, and I saw it after everybody was raving about it, which is always a big disaster.
Right. It's never as good as everyone else says it is.
It happened to me with La La Land, because it already had been on the circuit before I saw it, and I was disappointed the first time I saw it.
I didn't like that movie.
But then I ended up really liking it a lot more. Mm-hmm. So the first time I saw Call Me By Your Name, I was like, I get it, but I don't really get it. Like, I don't really... And now I've seen it like 5 times, and every time I see it, it's that movie that you can just always have on.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to watch. And Timothy's such a natural actor. Mm-hmm. I like actors that you don't see them acting.
Some people are like incredibly insane about it and saying that he did a better job than Gary Oldman. Some people are like,
no, he didn't.
He deserved it.
No,
and
he
I'm
didn't.
just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He has what Leo had when he did Gilbert Grape, and that was that raw talent that you see on screen so rarely, where you're like, this person was born to do what they do, but let's see what they do 5 years from now. Because what Leo was smart about, what he did, is he went through a little phase where he wasn't as great. Because I think he had all that natural talent, but he wasn't working at it.
Right.
He kind of knew he was good. Like the guy in high school football that never gets better because he doesn't think he needs to practice.
Right.
So it'll be interesting with Timothy to see what he does 5 years from now, because he has that thing that he could be a Leo. But what's he going to do? Hopefully he'll do amazing things.
Yeah.
Cool.
You have 2 more left. Hurry up, gotta wrap
Phantom
this up.
Thread.
You already said Phantom Thread. That's 3.
Wait, what have I said already?
Phantom Thread, Get Out, and Call Me By Your Name.
But that wasn't my favorite.
Oh, for fuck's sake, we're stuck at 2 again? Darkest Hour? No.
I love Darkest Hour.
Okay, Dunkirk? Nope. Shape of Water? Nope. What the fuck? Shape of Water? What the fuck?
Shape of Water was probably like number 4.
So it's in your top 5?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Coco? No.
Coco was one of my favorite movies of the year.
Top 5?
Definitely top 5.
Okay, so we're at 4. We need one more.
What have I picked?
We need one more.
I can't commit.
You
Clearly, you see my issue now.
You didn't like 3
because
billboards.
Next week you could ask me and it could change again.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could watch them all again and feel totally differently.
You didn't like 3 billboards? Not in top 5.
Really liked 3 billboards.
Okay.
I love Frances. She is everything.
I want to get lost with Frances McDormand in the car for like hours, because that would be a fucking life experience that would change you. She's a force of nature.
Yeah.
And I've loved her since the early Coen brothers.
She
stuff.
came back into the press room after the Oscars. And here's Frances in a nutshell. Everybody who wins an Oscar, what do? They carry it around all night. They hug it. They hold it.
Yeah.
They stand there. She took the thing by the top of the head and she shook it upside down in the air and swung it around and goes, yeehaw, and walks off the stage.
That's why the guy stole it. She's just whipping it around.
Oh my gosh. When she did that, and everything she said backstage was even better than what she said on stage. Like, nobody wanted her to leave.
Right.
Because you don't know what she's going to say.
Yeah.
Don't know what's going to come out of her. And I don't even think, to be honest, she knew what she was going to say in any award speech this whole season.
As soon as she put that Oscar down, everybody strapped in. Like, as soon as she put the Oscar down, I was like, oh, here we go. And she let it all out. It was incredible.
But at the Globes, when she's like, I have something to say. And then I don't even think she knew what she was going to say.
Yeah,
she just,
probably.
Whatever comes to mind in the moment is what she's going to say. So wait, how many have I picked now?
You picked 4.
Who did I pick again?
Phantom Thread, Get Out, Call Me By... No, not Call Me By... Phantom Thread, Get Out, and... Shit, what did you say?
Because I keep going back on
Coco,
things.
And...
I mentioned the ones that I really liked.
Shape of Water. You did like Shape of Water, yeah?
I loved Shape of Water.
So it's in the 4?
I loved Shape of Water visually.
Okay.
That was fantastic.
Okay.
The water, the rain, the turquoise.
Yeah.
It's insane. Beautiful.
Right. I don't know if we're going to get to 5. What about Wonder Woman? You did like Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman was the movie that pleasantly surprised me the most because that was the movie I saw before anybody had seen it.
Okay.
And so there was no expectations.
All right.
And what the hell? Let's throw it in there.
Yeah.
Let's put it in there because...
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Committing to that.
Over Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, crap.
See, because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but my top 3 superhero movies of last year are Logan, Ragnarok, and then Wonder Woman. I loved Wonder Woman, But I think Logan speaks to me in a different way, whereas if I was a woman,
right.
I think Wonder Woman would completely speak to me in a different way.
Right. And I'll say the cliche thing that everybody said, and it's what I said earlier. It's the first time I've seen a woman kick ass on screen that was still comfortable with being a woman.
Yes.
And being quirky and vulnerable and goofy and
that's Gal.
And her and Chris's relationship in that movie reminds me of old movies of the 50s. Those old Cary Grant or whatever, where the woman and the man went on this adventure together. And she taught him stuff, he taught her stuff. It wasn't one person saving the world and the other perfect little wife at home, or the perfect, even the wife kicking ass and perfect little guy at home. Whatever, you saw the relationship build.
It's like African Queen.
Yeah. Oh,
when they
totally.
started all the way by the time they ended the movie, they're in two different places.
That was such a throwback. And actually, Patty Jenkins did that intentionally.
Well, it's set in that time where you would.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That scene when she remembers what he says to her gets me every time.
Yeah.
I wish we had... Pine's delivery of that line is an actor.
He's gotten so good.
Yes. A lot of people said this. I've loved him since Star Trek, but Hell or High Water was a whole nother level. And so once he understood, and it's not a surprise also that he's gotten kind of thinner. So sometimes I have this theory with actors that once they become thinner, because they have to be hungry, they're hungry for they're more in touch with everything.
They're physically hungry? Like they want a Big Mac, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like everything they do stems out from this desire that they're famished. So when you're famished, you're hungry for everything that's happening around you. So all your senses are turned on. And so I think that in every moment, so I think you can bring the most out of you. Now, there are obviously fat actors who are fantastic, but there are some actors who seem to get thinner as they get more popular and more successful as actors, and they're able to find these levels in their acting that is otherworld. Jennifer Connelly, a little bit doughy when she started out in Labyrinth and in Rocketeer and in Mulholland Falls, but then she makes this turn around Requiem for a Dream, and she becomes this like really thin, emaciated kind of woman, and then you see her kicking ass in House of Sand and Fog. You see her incredible in all these films as she gets older, Beautiful Mind, all these other things where she's a lot thinner, and I just think they're more like everything, they feel everything in a different way, like their bodies.
They're freaking starving.
Right.
And I should have conquered the world when I was a model. Because I was frickin' starving. No, I'm kidding. I actually wasn't. I actually ate. But I just couldn't resist.
Strike me as
but seriously,
nobody's
ever pointed out that to me before.
That's
because you hear the other thing, too, when funny actors who are heavier get thin, they're not as funny.
No. Or they look weird, like George Lopez when he got really thin. He looked like a bowling ball on top of a broom handle. It was weird.
I don't remember him being thin.
What? Yeah, he lost a lot of weight.
Did
he? Yeah, like right near the end of the show. Anyway, we've talked on and on. I'm sorry, Nikki. We got to wrap this up. We're at 2 fucking hours. I got to be...
And I can't even give you a top 5.
I know you can't.
I can't commit because... we're
at 2 hours and 15 minutes.
To be totally honest with you, here's the reason why I can't commit.
We didn't even drink.
Movies.
This is the worst.
We have so overanalyzed all those Oscar bait movies for so long now, and I've thought about them so much, and we've all sort of said, oh, I love Lady Bird, and I love Shape of Water, and I love this and that I almost feel boring talking about it.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
But no. I don't mean it in that way. I mean, like, I'm so
sorry.
I don't even know anymore. I've analyzed them to death.
Okay. That's why I was hoping you get a quirky answer, but we didn't get a quirky answer. Okay, one last thing.
Yeah.
Because we have to go.
My favorite movie of last year was really Transformers.
Did you like The Last Night?
I loved The Last Night.
Oh, my God.
I loved it.
Where's my... Nikki, I'm going to get on my knee right now and ask you to marry me.
That was really the most fun I had at the movies all year.
It was so batshit crazy. I love the shit out of that movie.
I love cheesy.
I went to like all the Collider people went with me, and they were all just bashing me afterwards because I had the ball of
the best time.
The best time. It was so nutty and insane, and I couldn't understand. People are like, "Well, it should be this, it should be that." I'm like, "Motherfucker, it's talking cars. Why are you trying to create Shakespeare out of talking cars?"
It was so long. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was insane. It just kept going.
End.
Yeah, it did.
Could have kept going.
I would have
It could have been like a 24-hour reality show, and I would have watched it.
It would have been the Katy Perry reality show. I'd have watched the whole fucking thing. It was insane.
Yeah.
Thank you. There we go. That's the perfect button to end this thing on. I can't believe you loved it.
Transformers forever.
The last night. Thanks so much, Nikki, for taking the time.
Oh my gosh,
this is such a long. It means so much to me. You took this this long.
What are you talking about? I'm sorry, I blabbed for so long.
Because most people are running off to one thing or another. So it's I appreciate you taking the time.
I just got deer to go to. That's it.
Where can people find you? Where can they follow you? What are you doing? All these kind of things. Please plug away.
Fandango.
Okay.
I'm all Fandango.com. You can see all my interviews. Or on our Facebook page at Nikki Novak. It's pretty simple. Instagram and Twitter. I'm trying to get better about Twitter.
Nikki with 2 Ks.
Nikki, Nikki Novak. Trying to get better about my Twitter.
You're all over Instagram. You got to follow her on Instagram. You get Insta videos and you get the posts.
Well, yeah, that's what I love to do when I go on these travel junkets. I'm like, I always do one thing on my last night. I get in an Uber. I say, how much time you got, dude? Got 2 hours. We're going around town and we're going to see all the sights from the car.
Yeah,
and let's do this.
That's why I sent you a message on Instagram. I was like, fuck, I'm enjoying your trip through Paris. Because that's when you did all those videos from Paris.
That makes me so
I was
happy.
living through you.
When people message me and say, I feel like I just went to Hawaii, I feel like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be look, here I am in Hawaii looking hot. I want to be come with me and let's have fun and let's dance on the balcony.
Which is what happened. Yeah, exactly. And that dress of yours, Jesus, woman, that was an incredible dress, that black dress. That was an incredible dress.
Which dress?
The one with the side and the gap.
In Paris. I was thinking of Hawaii. I'm
I said Paris.
Oh, that dress. Oh, thank you. It was cold. I got frostbite on that little skirt.
I'm sure you did. I was like, what are you doing? It's snowing outside wearing that thing. I was like, well, that's a model for you. She knows what to wear. Fashion is fashion. All right. Well, thank you.
We can keep talking. I'm going to shut up now.
We'll get another. I hope you come back soon. Thanks again for taking the time. Guys, follow her. And if you enjoyed the interview, let her know on her social media, on her Twitter, on her Instagram.
Nice. Be nice.
They'll be nice. They love you. My fans are good like that. And tell her that, because then it'll encourage her to come back for a second episode if you enjoyed this interview. And so follow her, give her some love. Give her love on her interviews. She's great. And thanks, everyone, for listening to Outlaw Nation this week. And make sure you follow, leave the comments. We have so many great shows on SK Plus Podcast Channel. Leave comments for them. Follow them. Give them some love. And if you're struggling this week, I have been into dark places. I've talked to you guys about this many, many times. Whatever you need to do to get through the next second, the next minute, the next hour, the next day, the next month, the next year, do what you need to do. We've all experienced it as we go through life. And I just want to let you know, we're coming out of the holidays. It's been 3 months out of the holidays. We're entering into the spring season. All this kinds of stuff can make changes. So just be good to yourself. Be patient with yourself. Read what you need to read. Put the models up that you need to put up to get yourself in the right frame of mind, and take it step by step. I appreciate all the DMs you guys have sent me over the last week talking about your life stuff going on in your life, and I appreciate all of you that are saying I inspire you to keep going and seeing. So it means a lot. So if I can say anything right now, if you're in a dark place, take it easy, take it slow, find your way out of it. You can if you work hard and believe in yourself. All right? Thanks, everyone, again. Listen to Outlaw Nation. We will talk to you all again next week.